Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it feels like it was only days ago that we had our last round, and that was because it was. We were here last time out on Thursday, I think. It's all merged into one, the days as it stands. My name's Luke Crane. I am joined by Connery Maddock. It is the DTM Esports 2022 races 7 and 8, and today we're at Spa, Connery. How excited are you to be here?
I mean, what an occasion. And, in terms of contextualizing this championship with it as well, these guys have only had a couple of days to prepare for this one. But then again, it is Spa. It's an absolutely legendary circuit by anyone's measurements. I don't know a person who doesn't like it as a racetrack. That's how highly regarded it is, both in the sim racing community and of course in the real world as well. I'm super excited for this one. It's usually a track that delivers some amazing racing, especially with the wealth of overtaking opportunities. So yeah, I can't wait to get this one started.
Yeah, you could not be any more right. We have headed to already the Lausitz Ring this week, and now we do indeed head to Spa. The Lausitz Ring did throw up an incredible week's racing, 2 races, which has thrown the championship into a crazy situation, which I'm super, super excited for. But let's first check out the calendar then for the rest of the season. This marks the start of the second half of the season. We've already been to Imola, we've already been to the Norris Ring, we've already been to the Lausitz Ring, but now we head to Spa-Francorchamps, and then we've got the Red Bull Ring and Portimao to come. We've got a little bit of a break actually. We've got 11 days until the next two, which they're back to back actually, aren't they? 21st of April and the 28th of April. But yeah, Spa. If you want to get hold of us on social media and indeed maybe send us a question, you can absolutely do so by using the hashtag #WeLoveDTM. Let's check out then the format for today's broadcast as well, so none of you are shocked as to what is going down. Free practice already begun. Don't worry about that. Stream start. If you can hear me, you know the stream's live. Qualifying 1 is 10 minutes long. Then we've got a 15-minute sprint race. No pit stops, nothing like that. It is literally a formation lap, and they drive the hell out of the cars. Then we've got race number 2, so qualifying 2 will begin. A 10-minute session once again, and then a 60-minute endurance race, which has a mandatory pit stop, which opens at around about the 15-minute mark and closes with 15 minutes to go. They all have to change their tyres. And well, let's check out then our protagonist today. Who is going to be the drivers to watch? Our championship order is as follows. Kevin Siggy. I would say he didn't have the best of weeks considering what he's used to be doing, but the fact that he still managed to get a couple of podiums this week, yeah, he's doing an exceptional job there of leading the way. 220 points. But Moritz Lerner, Florian Hasser. Moritz Lerner got 2 first positions. Florian Hasser got 2 seconds at the Lausitz Ring and really have brought themselves into the equation in terms of not only being in that top 5. Remember, the top 5 of this championship will advance to the next stage where effectively they go to a DTM event this year. They get judged as to whether they are going to be good enough to receive the full-time prize, which is a 2023 drive via the DTM trophy. If we just check those standings out once again, just so we can look at the picture for the top 5. So obviously we have Kevin Siggy at the top. Moritz Lerner then and Florian Hasser have really brought themselves into play after them both having a pretty, lackluster start to the season, especially Hasser. Lerner did pretty well at Imola, but not so much at the Norris Ring. Alessandro Ottaviani and Gianmarco Fiducci both have bad weeks, but the main thing is that by 8 points, they are both in that top 5. Leonard Krippner had a very good week this week. He moves up into 6th position. Christopher Hugveld is in 7th. Then we've got Jack Keithley, Isaac Price there, everybody's favourite leather jacket wearer. He's kind of like, I'm here to party, but if I need to ride a motorcycle out of here, I will absolutely do so. Adam Pinches then is in that top 10. So big days needed. Leonard Krippner is right on the cusp here. Christopher Hugveld, Jack Keithley, Isaac Price, Adam Pinches, they all need a big weekend here to set themselves up for the final 4 races of the season. Connery, Kevin Siggy's been the absolute dominant force, hasn't he? And it's not just in this championship. He's been exceptional in everything he's turned his hand to over the last 24 months, I would say. How hard is it going to be for anybody, especially someone like Moritz Lerner who wants to go back-to-back in DTM Esports to try and catch him?
It's going to be incredibly difficult. There's no other way of saying it, to be honest. Siggy has had a very wonderful start to the season, and a lot of his competitors have been completely inconsistent. There were some days where we saw Lerner and Hasser, they were top of the order, last time out. they were getting all the points on the board, and then there were some race days that they were absolutely nowhere to be seen down in the mid pack because of the sort of balance of performance sort of shifting things a little bit. It's going to be an interesting conversation today for Spa though, because of course we're kind of trying to guess how this one was going to work out, because there's the combination of not all that much preparation, but there's also a couple of balance performance tweaks that have been made, so it may be not as clear cut in terms of which manufacturer is going to be strong today as it might have been in weeks gone by. So I would certainly keep an eye on that one. Currently, it is Kevin Siggy top of practice times at the moment, so I guess that tells you all you need to know.
Well, yeah, that is all we need to know, isn't it? Kevin Siggy again asserting his dominance. But you know, again, we are at Spa-Francorchamps today, but we do indeed have a track guide from everybody's favorite Lego Star Wars streamer, Marcel Kiefer.
Welcome everyone to the next round of the DTM Esports Championship. My name is Marcel Kiefer, I'm driver for Oracle Red Bull Racing Esports, and I'm gonna take you for a lap around the legendary circuit of Spa-Francorchamps, making it out of the final corner, now heading to the start finish line underneath the MediaMarkt banners, braking at the 100-meter board, heavy braking down into first gear, important to get a good exit. And then the mighty En Rouge Radillon section. The small lift can help to stabilize the car. Really tricky in those GT cars. Yep. And now we are on the Camel Straight, flat out until the end. 6th gear. And this is already sector 1. Now we are braking again at the 100-meter board. Heavy braking into Le Combe. 3rd gear, get close to the curb, you can also hug it. We missed it just a tiny bit. Also cut on the left. Use the curb on the inside to rotate the car. On the right, use all the curb on the exit. That's fully within the track limits. Now, one of the trickiest corners. You can see the rear is getting loose. I locked up a bit. It's quite easy to do that. And also to run wide. Again, the curb is the track limit. A little pinch on the brake for the left-hander here. But you want to carry as much momentum early on the power again. Now for the right-left section, brake on the curb on the left. 3rd gear, hug the inside curb to rotate the car. Now into the left with an exit-oriented driving style. 3rd gear, again hug the inside, and now power down. Use all the track. Delay the throttle and now full throttle. The curb is the track limit. Now we are keeping it flat until the final corner section. The mighty bus stop chicane. We all know it. And it's really tricky. You have to brake earlier than you think. For me, being used to single seaters, this is actually a really tricky corner. We are braking just at a MediaMarkt sign at the white line. Heavy braking. 2nd gear. Early turn in. Has a bit of an elevation change. And now power down to the line. Let's see what happens tonight. I'm excited. I hope you're too. And let's go racing. I'm Marcel. See you next time.
Well, here we are then. We're about to indeed go to qualifying. We've got 30 seconds left until we do go to qualifying here. After hearing from 90s pop sensation there, Marcel Kiefer, he would definitely have fitted into New Kids on the Block. Maybe a little bit before your time there, Connery, but just a little joke there for all the dads out there. Qualifying, yeah, this is vital. We've seen throughout, especially for this race, we've seen throughout this season, if you're outside the top 20, you're kind of not going to progress here. You're not going to get any big points. So for all of our top 10, they have to qualify well here.
Yeah, that simply has to be the case. You can't be leaving time on the table when it comes to qualifying. You have to get out there and give it your best shot, because it's a crunch down that time now as far as championship is concerned. It's so easy in these last couple of rounds to have things run away from you slightly with regards to falling behind in terms of points. And well, everyone's falling behind Siggy in terms of points at the moment. We've got ourselves qualifying started though. Really important qualifying session because, well, everything is going to be relatively close here today. Not just the racing, but I believe the times in qualifying as well, because everyone knows this circuit. They know it like the back of their hands, like I said at the post-show of the last race that we had. So things are likely to be very, very, very competitive indeed here.
Yeah, and also it's a long lap. The times are going to be, just a little bit lower than the 2 minutes 20. So you've got to allow for your outlap, and also once qualifying's done, once that time ticker turns to 0, they cannot finish their lap. So I'm thinking they're going to get 2 runs here maximum. Like they cannot get 3, right? 2 minutes 20. 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Oh, they could just about get, a few of the front runners may get 3 runs here, but it's super tight. I would imagine only maybe the first 3 or 4.
Yeah, it would be, because obviously the slightly little strange way the way RaceRoom ends qualifying sessions, you don't necessarily get yourself the entirety of the final lap that you are able to complete sometimes. So it's it's going to be around about that. So there's a lot more pressure on these first laps, in fact, here, Luke, because if you don't get that banker in, you're basically pulling it all in on those second and potentially even third laps to be able to get yourself a spot on the grid for race number 1. It's because if you don't get yourself a time set, you're going to be starting absolutely dead last in amongst the other people that might not have set times. But there's certainly no issue in terms of trying to find your own space out there, isn't there? It's a huge track.
Yeah, but one thing Siggy's been good at is getting out there right at the front of the train. He's not today, so he's kind of governed by other people. If someone makes a mistake in front of you, you're kind of in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, not ideal. As you can see there, we are on RaceRoom. Make sure you go and check it out. It is free to play. There is a base content set with the game. You just download it, go out there and get racing. There's some really cool cars to get yourself involved in, and then once you get past that point, you may want to get involved with the official licensed cars that they have, including DTM on the service. It is a very, very underrated sim. I can assure you that. It is a beautiful sim, and there's plenty of options out there. Here's Jack Keithley then, who was very, very well placed around the Lausitz-Ring in a car that really shouldn't have been anywhere near the top 5. He managed to get a P6 and a P5 this week just gone by, and he'll be looking to build on that today. Could the AMG be the surprise, the spring surprise today on the rest of the field? Again, with the balance of performance nudges and changes, expect to see all of the cars be relatively strong around here. Right, all of you watching now on YouTube, whether you're watching on Twitch as well, let me know where you're watching from. It's as simple as that. I want a roll call here. Just say hello. Let me know where you're watching from around the world. Let me know who you're supporting. And maybe you're just here to have a bit of fun. It is indeed the end of our weekend. I know tomorrow we've got either university or school or work. Or worse, like me, I've got to look after 2 children who are off school. This is the last haven for me, specifically, not being with them. But yeah, let me know where you're watching from, guys and girls. Let's have a nice little roll call, and I can be a little shout out on streams. We're on board here with Moritz Lerner then, as he comes through No Name. Down towards Pouon, we will come, and this is going to be nice. Let's stick on this then for the rest of this lap here. You can see using all the curb on entry there. You can see the rear is actually trying to step out as well. Lerner on the absolute limit there. We'll have a teammate in front of him. DTM Esports were incredible at utilising their teammates at the Lausitz-Ring, which indeed helped them get the biggest results as possible. This here, for me, is where you can lose the most amount of time. It's very, very technical through here, but if you nail it, you can just carry so much more speed. So it's just all about opening up the first section. Then we've got this double right-hander here again. You've got to run out nice and wide and open up here. Otherwise, you're going to be slow through arguably the second fastest part of the circuit. I guess the Kemmel Straight is a little bit quicker than here, but down towards Blanchimont and in towards the bus stop chicane, you have to be at your highest peak speed. Again, using that slipstream in front, starting to close up to the rear of that BMW in front as well, using all of the curb there on the exit of Blanchimont. Down towards that bus stop chicane, getting on the brakes a long time before the curbing on the left-hand side there, using that sausage curb on the inside of both corners. And on the power, nice and early there. Not as much movement from the car as the car in front. And Moritz Lerner here, purple, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. What's the lap time we're going to see here? Oh, a 2:16.272. That is an incredible lap time. Florian Hasse, who he's just used, I think, is 3/10 behind. We've got Krippner and Rachel, and all of them managing to get some decent lap times in here. Siggy is, well, about to come across the line. He might be about to take provisional pole position. Across the line he goes, and he does. It's not by a lot, but it's by enough.
Yeah, that's what we expected to see there from Siggy. Like you said, it is a very close margin up there to Moritz Lerner. Just half a tenth of a second separating the two drivers right now. Here's Marko Pejic. He's, well, going to get himself a lap time on the board in just a couple of moments' time once he heads his way out of that final corner. But this is the first flurry of lap times to come in. We'll have a secondary flurry come in as well as Marko Pejic. Good enough for P7 at the moment. Not too bad for the driver of the Mercedes. In terms of other championship runners, Fiducci able to get himself up into P4, Pinches in P5, and where is Florian Hasse? I do not believe I see him on... Oh, there we go. He's P6. So he wasn't where I was expecting. I was expecting him to see him towards the front, but no. Oh, someone has a big incident out of Jackie X corner there. But yeah, Florian Hasse, P6 for now.
Yes, Rachel, into the pits he goes. So the 4 DTM Esports cars were all working together as they did at the Lausitz ring, but Rachel here is in trouble because he's not anywhere near the top 5 here, down in the 10th position. He's only going to lose positions now, and he will not get another lap time in now. That is it. That is his session over because he's got 3 minutes 50. It's 2 minutes 20 to get round the lap time, right? So yeah, unfortunately for him, that is a game over. Manu Rodriguez there, nearly sending it up the rear of that AMG. Moritz Lerner here is actually now up by a full 10th of a second as he comes down towards Blanchimont. I think he might be realizing here that actually having a car in front of him might not be the best in terms of preparation, because he's going a lot faster without any slipstream here. He's actually trying to give slipstream to Florian Hasse as he comes down in towards that bus stop chicane. And going to use all of that curb on the left-hand side, bumps the car over the curbing. And he's about to come up across the line here, again up through the middle sector, best out of everybody because it's purple. Is he going to improve on his time here enough to potentially take pole position? He does, and it's by, well, he's gone just over a 10th quicker. He is 0.06 of a second faster than Siggy. Siggy's still out there though, and well, he'll want another pole position to his name.
And this looks like an invalid lap time for Kevin Siggy as well. Should be able to get himself across the line to wind up for one more lap here. So that's why he's letting everyone go. He doesn't want to have his lap time disrupted just yet, although just pulls into the runoff. He's done. Okay. Yeah,
he is done. So he's not going to be a pole position here for Siggy, but second position isn't the worst position to be in, considering you got that Radiono Rouge run, and then you got the Kemmel straight up in towards Les Combes. So yeah, is the second the worst position to be in? Absolutely not. Is splitting the DTM Esports drivers probably the main objective here? Yeah, he's done that as it stands. So as we see, Alexander Dorniden, surprise then, so far of the session, is Alexander Dorniden, who did relatively well here. As you can see, the tailored rig esports team there working together, and actually he's giving a nice bit of slipstream there to the number 64. Who's the number 64? It's Pfeffer, isn't it? Oh, sorry, Pfeiffer. I keep saying Pfeffer. I commentate on a guy called Pfeffer, but this is Pfeiffer. Not to be, yes, not Michelle Pfeiffer's son or brother or anything like that. I tell you what, he is absolutely flying through sector number 1. Half a tenth faster than everybody. Sector 1 is purple. Right, let's give some shout outs to people who have said hello. We've got Mr. Zero, the hero. Welcome, mate. Mazfa, how you doing, dude? He is from Portugal. We have got ourselves Niels Uzerin. He is from the Netherlands. We have also got Kibalama Julius, who's from Uganda. And then we've got Miguel Amorin as Jack Keithley has gone pole. Wow, well, ladies and gentlemen. I said the AMGs might be able to spring a surprise. If it was going to be anybody, it was Jack Keithley. We know that there's one more AMG going very, very quickly indeed in Max Pfeiffer. There's Florian Hasse here. His lap times are, no, he was already 0.3 down in terms of the first sector here, so this is not quick from either of them. A full second behind them, Moritz Lerner. This is almost a case of how much can they learn in terms of battling. I think that's what they're doing right now. They're trying to just learn. As Gianmarco Fiducci is also quick through sector 1. Although he's got the R8G car in front, and they will not be helping each other out, I wouldn't imagine, because they're actually direct competition in terms of the championship here. It's either Hugveld or Ottaviani in front of him. As we head then down in towards Blanchimont, sector 2 is not quick here. What about Pfeiffer? Pfeiffer, where is he? P12 currently. And Pfeiffer, well, not going to see his lap time. Oh, he's about to come across the line here. So is he going to chuck himself into that top 10? Remember, he was purple through sector number 1 with help from teammate. He's gone up to P6 there, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 2 AMGs up there. We've got a Ferrari. We've got a set of BMWs as well as the Fordzilla and the R8G cars are about to come through. Fiducci and Ottaviani. No changes in the top 10 as it stands. Attila Dinya's had a very good qualifying time as well. But there we go. Our starting grid is going to be Jack Keithley on pole position. Moritz Lohner is going to take 2nd spot. Kevin Siggy in 3rd position. Alexander Dorniden is in 4th. And I think the biggest factor here really is the fact that, well, it's 4 different teams here. So DTM Esports cannot work together in this situation. But it's the old guard, isn't it? Jack Keithley, Moritz Lohner. We've seen that before in DTM Esports Season 1.
I'm looking forward to this now. There's going to be no team shenanigans, or very little team shenanigans going on at the front of the order here for the 15-minute sprint race. So, yeah, all bets are off at this stage, and it's 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 as well. It was Jack Keithley in the AMG Mercedes going pole position, Lohner in the BMW 2nd place, Siggy in the Ferrari in 3rd. So this is what we like to see. We don't like to see one manufacturer or team dominate all these races. Seems like we've got a we've got a race on, and the balance of performance has worked out.
Yeah, 100%. Super excited for this. And, well, now I'm going to introduce you to a bit of a special guest here, someone who's been taking over the broadcast over on YouTube by basically telling me and Connery every time we're wrong about something. So we thought, you know what? We're going to throw him under the bus and bring him involved in the warm-up. We have got here 22-year-old Ben Spanky. He is indeed a sim racing driver for DTM Esports, 2018 Esports WTCR World Champion, 2020 Slovak National Champion in digital motorsport, and a beautiful looking human. He even told me about his profile picture being his favorite because it makes him look the best this afternoon. Ben, how you doing, mate?
Hello guys, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited before tonight's races.
Well, we brought you here because we wanted to get a little bit of an insight of what to expect for this evening's races. But first of all, what are you up to at the moment then? What's your sim racing career up to as it stands?
Currently, I take part in the ADSC GT Masters Championship, which will have its next race on Tuesday, I believe. So in 2 days, and I'm leading the standings with 2 rounds to go. So that's my main priority at the moment.
Well, there's worse championships to be involved in, hey, when you're top of it. Wow, incredible stuff there. Of course, we expect you to be in and amongst everything. What's after that championship? Is there anything in the pipeline for you?
At the moment, I don't think so, but let's wait and see what happens next.
Okay, cool. Wow. Okay, let's bring you in on what to expect tonight then. Of course, we've got one 15-minute race and then a 60-minute race. I think it's pretty obvious what we're going to expect in the 15-minute race, right? But yeah, what are you expecting to see today, and maybe some insight from someone with your expertise?
Well, first of all, I expect the likes of Siggy, Högfeld and Fiducci to be rather feisty today, because Ferrari drivers were put on the back foot by a last-minute BOP change before the race. So that adds some excitement to this event, I think. And then also Tyre Ware will be a big unknown, since I'm hearing many drivers simply don't have enough time to do race stints. As you know, they had roughly 3 days to prepare for this one. So yeah, last time the undercut was pretty efficient, and I'm expecting the same will apply tonight.
So lots of unknowns, so it was a big waste of time bringing you on today. Well, there we go. There you have it. Let's say outside of the top 5. So right now in the championship here, we've got Siggy, Lohner, we've got Hassa, Ottaviani and Fiducci. Is there anyone outside of those 5 that you could see spring a surprise?
Kripner, of course, he's in the BMW. And I think the BMWs can run lower wing this time on this track, which is impossible with the Ferrari simply. So they have to make some compromises with reducing the rake of the car, for example, which has further implications on balance, etc. So I think he can do pretty well if he has a decent start. He can be up there.
Well, spot on, Bence, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I've commentated on you many a time. You're one of the very best out there at the moment. So it's an absolute pleasure to hear from you. And thank you for giving you our time. And I can't wait for you to tell us how many times we're wrong in the broadcast for the entirety of it. But thanks for your time, bud.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Bent Banky there giving us some insight. He'll be in the YouTube chat as well, I'm sure, for the most part. So if there's any questions you want to ask him, because he legitimately is, you know, not just in the world of sim racing, but specifically RaceRoom, one of the very best. He understands just how everything works down to a T. So if you've got any questions, you should absolutely ask him in the chat. Oh, I forgot to ask him where we can find him on social media. If you want to follow him, I've got his Twitter up right now. It is at Bent_Banky, so BENCE_BANKI. So yeah, go and give Bent Banky a follow. Again, he is a dominant force within the world of sim racing, and he's still only 22 years old. Connery, right, 1 minute left here of practice. A last-minute balance of performance change. How many competitions have you been involved in where there's a balance of performance change in the last couple of days before an event?
More times than I can count on two hands. It's yeah, it does happen. I mean, there are some things that are found last minute. In a lot of cases, there's a lot of what drivers like to keep secret from the stewards, and they like to sort of exaggerate certain things or play down certain things, and in the end, like, no one really knows if anyone's telling the truth. So therefore, sometimes you get these last-minute changes if the stewards realize that, oh wait, this maybe one car's a little bit too OP compared to the others. So it does happen. Of course, we do like to sort of publish all these things in advance so that the teams get themselves a chance to try and practice, and well, even before the season starts, to pick what they feel is the right car for the right circuit. But it's yeah, it's a big challenge. And again, what Ben Spanky pointed out with the lack of preparation, these guys haven't been able to do, or at least a lot of them haven't been able to do proper full tire stints and things like that. There's just a lot of factors at play here that can completely change things. I mean, it's already changed the usual order in qualifying, and let alone the race.
It's very realistic, though. Since I've been working in the real world of motorsport, this happens all the time. So they'll have a practice session, and then they'll realize very quickly that a certain car around a certain circuit, because in most racing games, you'll find that there's a balance of performance that goes across all tracks. Whereas in, obviously, the IRL, you have to have a BOP for every single circuit, and sometimes they'll find a car that just is, you know, it's mostly to do with like altitude. Altitude's the biggest one. I remember when the Ferrari Evo first came out, it was just an absolute monster when it was at high altitude. So it's a case of you've got to be able to learn to adapt if you want to win these major competitions. It's as simple as that. We've got ourselves 30 seconds left to go on the clock, and then we've got one full formation lap and then a 15-minute timed race. Jack Heathley's on pole here, and that is a big surprise to me. I thought he was going to do pretty well, Connery, but can he go out there and get the dub?
Well, again, it's just one of those big unknowns, isn't it? The Mercedes, we haven't really seen it come to the forefront. It's been there or thereabouts in some of the races. I mean, you know, surprising result last time out, you know, just a couple of days ago at the race at the Lausitzring. So maybe it does have a little bit more performance here at Spa-Francorchamps compared to most of the circuits we've seen so far. I mean, Jack Heathley's not the only Mercedes that has done rather well in qualifying. Max Pfeiffer in 6th place, for example. Petr Pliska in P8. So the Mercedes are certainly getting themselves involved in the mix. Of course, what Mensa said was that the Ferraris got themselves a little bit more of a handicap last minute coming into this one, which is why you see them sort of brought back to an even keel somewhat. I'm pretty sure Siggy would be a little frustrated at that, but then again, he's also the kind of person to just get on with it and try and win the race regardless of any handicap that he has. But it's going to be tough, and it's, you know, a different set of circumstances here in this race. He doesn't have that wall of DTM Esports cars ahead of him to try and get past and trying to play some shenanigans with them. So he's got a 1v1 fight with Lona. He's got a 1v1 fight with Jack Heathley. I mean, they're all fighting amongst themselves as well. Dornaden's on the outside looking in, trying to get himself a fantastic result here today as well. Yeah, this is going to be a huge melting pot of teams, drivers, and it's going to be crazy, especially considering how powerful that slipstream sort of draft lock tends to be at circuits such as this. So, yeah, this one's going to be crazy. I hope everyone's buckled in.
I think well, Ben's just said already that the tyre wear is a pretty big kick in the nuts for the AMGs. I think in a sprint race, you kind of got to maximise your performance here, haven't you? Try and get the big result now, because you're going to be in under a little bit more pressure when it comes to the second race, although there is a pit stop, so who knows here. But if there's one driver who can go out there and get a surprise result, it is Jack Keithley. Wouldn't be a huge surprise just because of what he's achieved in his sim racing career, but ultimately he's on pole position, so he's no slouch. He's definitely got a car underneath him that can go out there and win these races. He is on pole. We've then got DTM Esports reigning champion Moritz Lerner in second. Current DTM Esports leader is in Kevin Siggy. If we could just bring the standings up for you on screen, just so you can have a look as to exactly how it looked before we head into race number 1. So there it is, Kevin Siggy, 220 points. He leads by 45 points to Moritz Lerner. We've then got Florian Hasser, who had an incredible week this week with 2 podiums, or 2 second positions behind Moritz Lerner, who got 2 first positions, shall I say, at the Lausitzring on Thursday. And then we got Alessandro Ottaviani on 149 and Gianmarco Fiducci on 130. Those two are pretty much hanging on, really, to that top 5 spot, because they did not have a good week this week. Krippner trying to sneak his way up into that top 5. So keep an eye on Krippner, Hugveld, Heathley. Heathley gets a race win here, or a couple of big results. Expect him to be in there. Remember, he is the vice champion as it stands. Isaac Price, he always finds a way to get himself in and amongst it. And Adam Pinches, P10 as it stands. Here we go then, into the final parts of this formation lap. Yes, it does, Marv. It absolutely does. But you'll find, especially with these cars and open wheels in sim racing these days, warming up the tyres only really tends to overheat them quicker when you get to the race. You won't see them swerving left and right like you used to. Yeah, it used to be a massive factor, especially in iRacing as well. Like, people used to be if you see someone swerving with their tyres, you've got to be worried about them, basically, that they're going to be in a wall at some point. Right, Keithley on pole positions. AMG then versus BMW. This is indeed the battle for DTM Esports 2020, and it was Lerner that came out on top. And while can Keithley go out and get a race victory here? We are green light racing here, round 7 of the DTM Esports 2022. Kevin Siggy in that red Ferrari up the inside for the Team Red Line outfit. I'll tell you what, he's got a great run here. He's actually already up into P2. So Moritz Lerner then, who needs to beat Siggy at every turn, basically, if he wants to go back-to-back for the DTM Esports Championship, is down to P3. Keithley's got a worldie of a start here, but it's over the top then of Radion and Eau Rouge. And it's that long run as we see a car up in the air, flipping around there. I don't think I've ever seen that here. That is not ideal. And that's one way of getting the sponsors on the screen there. MediaMarkt car of Alex Mosin facing the wrong way and was upside down. Wow, that is not ideal in the slightest here, but as it settles down, as they come through Les.com, it is Keithley, Siggy, Lerner. It is indeed Dorniden holding on to that P4. We've then got Pfeiffer in P5, up 1 position, Fiducci, Krippner, Pinches, Pliska, and Dinya as your top 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there at the very back of the field. You just saw a car fly through the air over the top of Radion, and, well, I can only guess that was Alex Mosin, because that was the only car stationary at the top of the hill there, and involved in that incident. We also saw Manuel Rodriguez drop down towards the bottom of the order. He's classified as a DNF at the moment as well. Unfortunately, we can't get replays here with the way we have the screen set up.
It's a mistake from Siggy.
Oh, yeah,
Siggy
it
made
is.
a huge error here. There he is. He's now under a lot of pressure here from Lerner as we head through the mid part of this circuit here, Spa-Francorchamps. I will say one thing there, Alex Mosin, that's one way of not overheating your tyres if they're not touching the ground. So I guess he's figured out the way of not overheating them. Through the double right-hander then, and then we've got the long run down towards Blanchimont. Looks like Siggy has sorted himself out. Again, sorry to cut you off there, Connor. I just saw him run a little bit wide. And again, running wide there once again, the BAP change just seems that the Ferraris are not as comfortable as they first were. One driver who does not care one bit is Jack Keithley, 7/10 of a second in the lead. He is going to be slipstream down in towards Blanchimont, but he's just too far ahead here to be worried about any kind of dive. Moritz Lerner, though, is close enough here to Siggy. We've seen one of the best esports moves in the DTM esports history into this corner. It was Moritz Lerner that did it. He actually went round the outside to take a victory here at Spa merely 18 months ago. Not quite going to be able to do so this time round. End of lap 1, Keithley, Siggy, Lerner, Dorniden, Pfeiffer, Fiducci, Krippner. We have then got Pinches, Pliska, and Vermeulen now up into a top 10.
Yeah, so things relatively calm, shall we say, at the very front of the field. There was a big amount of jostling for position towards the very back, in towards the bus stop chicane, but I think they were able to get themselves through rather unscathed. Oh, just as I say that, we have Michael Rachel having many issues on the exit of Last Source, and his AMG Mercedes seems to have been punched in the face somewhat. It's the only way I can describe the damage to that car. He's going to continue on with it, though, not going to be retiring from this race just yet. And here comes Kevin Siggy for the race lead, looking into Lacombe, but Keithley, well, not going to be scared about that.
No, he went for it, didn't he? And he looks absolutely racy here, but he's got to nail it, because if he doesn't, he knows that Moritz Lerner is going to be there to pick up the pieces. Again, just to speak a little bit about warming up the tyres. There's two ways of warming up the tyres. You can warm up the surface of the tyre, and that's where you see people weaving left and right, or overextending and trying to sort of tear the tyre, if you like, mid-corner. And there's warming it up from the inside, so heating your brakes up. Ideally, you want your tyres to be nice and warm from the inside out, not really across the surface. That's where you lose performance, because the tyres can overheat on the surface. So you want them to really heat up from the inside out. That's what I've had it explained to me by sim racers and motorsport racers in general. You'll see them weave because they do need to get heat into the tyres on the surface if it's like a colder day, or it's a circuit where it's just not really renowned for its grip. So you'll see them to try and get heat into the tyre. They'll be blowing on the tyre before they get in the car. They need to find so many different ways to try to get the heat into the tyre. But yeah, for the most part, you want to try and heat it up really from the inside out. So here we go. It is Keithley still leading. He was under a severe amount of pressure. And it does seem like the AMG here, Connery, is very good through the middle sector. But when it comes to this part here, down in towards Blanchimont, up in towards Les Combes, in a straight line, again, it's not the quickest.
Yeah, and you can see that time all being gobbled up. But here comes Moritz Lerner around the outside of the championship leader through the bus stop chicane. He's just always trying to repeat his signature move from last season, isn't he? He's had 2 attempts at it now, and hasn't got it done in both of them. He's going to look towards the inside through towards Last Source as well, keeping the Ferrari occupied. And, well, if they're at this a little bit too long, then they potentially might drop a little bit too much time to Jack Keithley, who was able to pull away a little bit in that AMG Mercedes at the very front. Alexander Dornaden's on the outside of this one looking in as well, so ready to pick up the pieces just in case it should go all wrong. Not expecting that, though. These guys are very respectful with their fighting majority of the time.
Yeah, Dornaden, though, has got nothing to lose. Remember that. He's not in the fight for that top 5, so, unless he gets some outstanding results in the next 6 races. So he's someone who will take chances at every opportunity. Through Les Combes we come. It's still Keithley that leads here, and really, if he could defend up and towards Les Combes, I think he's golden. He'll go out and win this race if he continues to do that. And really, for me, Moritz Lerner just needs to keep setting it up in towards the bus stop chicane. He needs to have his nose ahead if he wants to go around the outside of the bus stop chicane, but it's still Keithley that leads, then Siggy, Lerner, Dornaden as your top 4. Then got Fiducci in 5th position. If Fiducci gets top 5 for the rest of the season, he will more than likely be in that top spot, or the top 5 spots that do indeed advance through to the next stages. Just remember, of course, it's all about becoming the DTM Esports Champion 2022, but the top 5 all receive a prize, which means they go to a DTM event this year, and they all 5 will be judged as to see who's the best candidate to receive the outright prize. The outright prize is a 2023 DTM Trophy full paid season, driving in the real cars around the real circuits. They'll probably get to meet me, which is an absolute treat in itself. But yeah, what a prize that is. Get to drive a race car for real. And Keithley, again, just seems to get a really good exit, real punchy exit down in towards Blanchimont. As you can see here, Moritz Lerner just doesn't want to be too close through Blanchimont. So you'll see him. You'll probably see the gap just come out here, or he's trying to unsettle him. No, he is trying to unsettle him. He's going to go for it, and I think that might be a mistake there, although he is still right up behind that Ferrari. Moritz Lerner, is he going to go for the inside line? He's got the number 1 in this car because he is indeed the current champion. Dornaden now trying to find a bit of an overlap around the outside. Fiducci's going to get a really nice run here. Fiducci took a really wide exit, or wide entrance into the final corner. Looks like he's not quite close enough, but you can see how close he is. And he's going to force Dornaden then to go defensive here. And as we then come through turn number 1, it is not quite going to work out there at all. But all of the front 5, well, the whole field really, isn't it? Apart from anyone who's been involved in any incidents, are really close as it stands. Then up towards Radion Eau Rouge. Once again, I'll tell you what, you might want to go on board here with Kevin Siggy. Kevin Siggy is as close as he has been this whole race here. Look at this closing down. This is the battle for the lead then. You can see that Jack Keithley's got to try and make that AMG as wide as possible. He sticks to the middle of the road, forces Siggy to make a decision here. Siggy's going to take the inside line then, up towards Les Combes. Is he going to be able to have the source to take it? through the right-hander now, through the main part of the chicane here, through the mid part of the chicane we go. Siggy's got that overlap up the inside. He will grab a load of curb on the inside here. Keithley is offset. He is absolutely offset. Lona's going to try and come through here, almost 3 wide. Come down in towards Bruxelles. Lona is going to come through here. Keithley tried to pinch him on the apex. It was never going to work out. And well, it is P1 and P2 in the championship now. P1 and P2 in this race.
Lona in prime position to capitalize on all of that. Once you get forced offline, especially through that section, it's very, very tricky when you have an eager train of cars behind you that want to improve position to try and get yourself filed back in line. And well, it was Siggy needed to capitalize on that one opportunity, and he was through, and Lona just following through in his tire tracks basically. So 2 positions lost in the space of a couple of corners for Jack Keithley. It's going to hurt a little bit, but still within this leading pack. And I think if you're in this sort of leading 4 or 5 cars at the moment, you're kind of all have a decent chance at potentially getting yourself at least a podium or indeed the race win at this point, because you never know what might happen in the final 5 minutes of the sprint race, and everyone's just kept close together because of the draft. So yeah, we'll see exactly how this one turns out. Race lead might not even necessarily be where you want to be at the start of the final lap, depending on what the whole draft situation is, as we see more battling going on back here. This is Dornaden and Fiducci deciding to go wheel to wheel through the final couple of corners, and Pfeiffer might be able to pick up a position for good measure as well. But Dornaden and Fiducci still potentially going to fight this one out.
Well, Fiducci's got him. It's a brilliant move, actually. Dornaden made it as hard as possible here, and ultimately, I think he made a rod for his own back. He's a very aggressive driver, and now he's created the contact there, and he needs to be careful because, yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, Fiducci was aggressive, but I think he was very calculated in his aggression. Back to the Keithley move. It was a mistake from me. For me, he kind of went to the middle of the circuit. There's one circuit where you can really utilize middle circuit defending, and that's Bathurst. Up towards turn 2 or down in towards that final chicane through the kink down the Conrad Straight. You can just sit in the middle of the circuit, and it's very difficult to find a way around the outside or indeed the inside. But here, it's just too wide. It's just too wide. You force Siggy to make a decision, but it doesn't matter whether he's inside or outside. Dornaden does not leave any room there for Fiducci. Fiducci, I think he realises now, if he wants to get this overtake done, it's got to be absolutely clean as a whistle. Front 3, because of this battle, though, have just driven away. Keithley's going to be happy with that because, again, he was looking like a bit of a sitting duck, in all fairness. He's now got away here, and he'll take that P3 if he indeed can get to the finish line. But as it stands, Dornaden does hold on here as we come through No Name. We have then got Fiducci in 5th position, Pfeiffer in 6th, then Krippner. We've got Pinches, Pliska, and Vermeulen. So the top 10 hasn't really changed too much. A few positions have changed position, if you like. But yeah, it's been a very interesting race so far, and I think we're going to be in for an absolute classic 1-hour race, because it's going to be like this, swapping of positions, but for a full hour. 3 minutes 30 seconds to go. Guilherme Cahu, yeah, we're looking at the chat. Again, if you want to ask any questions, you can absolutely ask. If you guys want to get yourselves involved with the DTM 2021, you should absolutely go and download RaceRoom and give it a crack, that's for sure. Fiducci now under a lot more pressure here from Pfeiffer as we head down in towards Blanchimont. I tell you what, Moritz Lerner was a lot further back last time round, and he almost made a move at the last lap. He's a little bit closer this time as we see Pfeiffer trying to make a move here on Fiducci as we come down in towards then that final bus stop chicane. Not quite ahead. Yeah, he needs to get that nose ahead. So I think he needs to have his front wheels ahead of the bonnet there of our race leader, Kevin Siggy. We have got 2 minutes, 50 seconds to go, so there's going to be 2 laps remaining here. But yeah, Moritz Lerner not quite close enough to take advantage. Fiducci has lost the position here. Yes, he has. So Pfeiffer momentarily is up into P5. Fiducci then sends one up the inside. Absolutely nobody is home there, and it will be a retake then from Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer, who qualified exceptionally well, is absolutely deserving of this top 5 as it stands, but Fiducci wants to grab it back as soon as he possibly can.
Fiducci was a little too over-optimistic there, sending it on the brakes. And all sorts of out of shape coming off the top of Radion as well. That almost ended in a catastrophic crash coming through there. We've seen our fair share of those, of course, but it also kind of ruins his run up in towards the Combe as well, as the fact that Leonard Krippner is able to get himself alongside around the outside of the Combe and tags the Ferrari around. Fiducci in the front of traffic. Everyone scattering to avoid that one. Yeah, that's one for the stewards after this.
Yeah, that will 100% be looked at. That will 100% be penalised. I can tell you that right now. I've watched enough sim races and races to realise that is wrong. And I think everybody in the world has there, unless you're Stevie Wonder. That was not the greatest. Markovic, though, he's grabbed a couple of spots, so he's up to P16. Fiducci now down to P17, and that's huge for him. Again, if we bring the championship standings up here while we're mid-race, Fiduci, who is currently battling for that top 5, he's now in 17th position. There you go. So you can see here that Fiduci was P5 in the championship. Leonard Krippinen now is going to gain on him. Hoogveld's going to gain on him. Jack Keithley is going to gain big points on him right now. So Keithley in a massive position here. Oh dear, let's get back then to the action. So Siggy still leads by 0.3 of a second. Lona has to make the move here. Well, let's have a cheeky little onboard here, shall we? Down in towards Blanchimont. Here we go. Beautiful camera work there. Great stuff. Connery, love to see it. We're going to have one more lap after this. Look how close he is here. I tell you what, Siggy, again, running a little bit wide. This is perfect. He's been far too close coming into here previously, and Siggy then forces him to make the decision round the outside. Can he give us a moment to behold once again? Moritz Lerner has got the overlap here. Oh, he has got the overlap. Curb being used. All of the curb being used. Siggy on the power a little bit earlier. They are still side by side. Across the line they will go. They will start the final lap, but it will still be Siggy in the lead. Jack Keithley is hoping and praying they keep doing this. They have a bit of contact with each other, and he can pick up the pieces. As it stands, though, one lap to go here. Connery, Siggy, Lona, and Keithley. You could chuck a loincloth over them. They're that close.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You can see Lona just a little tease towards the inside. Obviously, way too far back to get anything done through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's just trying to size up the run now, coming off the top of the hill. Keithley's going to get a big tow from this one as well, from the 2 cars ahead of him. Time has now expired. That's how you know it's the final lap for certain. Siggy defensive to the inside as Lona has to go the long way around once again. Fantastic battling here between these two. It's still not settled. Look at the run that Lona attempts to get off the corner into Malmedy. It's still 3 for P1.
It absolutely is here then, down towards Bruxelles. Keithley trying to force a little bit of an opening here. It's only really having a detrimental effect on both of their opportunity to make a run at the race leader. Siggy looking in his rearview mirror thinking, yeah, nice to have a little bit of breathing room here. It might only be a couple of tenths. Lerner steps that rear out, and he nearly kissed goodbye to the championship there completely. He spins the car there. He finishes outside the top 10, let's say. He is in serious trouble, and he would not be a 2-time DTM Esports champion, but he kept it in the straight and narrow, or on the straight and narrow, should I say, still with an opportunity. A chip and a chair, as they say in poker. That means if you've got a chip and a chair, you are still in the competition, and he is right now as Siggy runs a little bit wide there once again. As we head then down into, again, one of the most technical parts of this circuit. This is where you can lose so much time, and Lona, maybe not as close as he has been previously here, needs to, the tow has got to help him out significantly. As we look then from the rear of Kevin Siggy, we have only got ourselves 3 more corners to go here at Spa. Lona closes in. You can see that BMW becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Through Blanchimont they come. Siggy then, he's going to take one line. He's obviously going to take that inside line here. Lona's going to try and find a gap. He is absolutely going to try and find a gap, try and unsettle Siggy. He does go up the inside. Siggy's just about going to hold on. But what about the exit here? Can Lona get that power down? He cannot. It is going to be Kevin Siggy that will take race 1 here today at Spa. It's a fantastic performance from him. Had to make a couple of overtakes to do so, and he absolutely deserves it. It's going to be Lona who finishes in 2nd spot. We've then got Jack Keithley in 3rd, which is huge because he's going to be now, if he gets a good result in race 2, pushing again towards that top 5. Dorneyden will finish in 4th position. We've then got Pfeiffer in 5th, Pinches in 6th. We've got Pliska, Vermeulen, Hoogveld and Krippner as your top 10. But today, once again, as Siggy was not able to get a race victory at the Lausitz Ring, we head to Spa, and oh boy, back to the top step of the podium.
What an incredible finish amongst all 3 drivers. Very respectful as well. You see Lona, he tried something different there into the bus stop. Every other time he tried to go the long way around at the first apex, changed it up for the last lap, tried to get to the inside, but unfortunately it was just a little bit too far back to make this happen. Podium is Siggy, Lona and Keithley. Dorneyden, Pfeiffer down to P5. Oh, that got the heart rate up, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's just the little starter, isn't it? We've got the main course coming up. We've got a 1-hour endurance race on its way with a 30-minute pit window as well. We're probably going to end up losing our voices today. It's going to be exceptional. I'm super excited. My heart rate does need to cool down a little bit, so we are going to quickly head to a commercial break.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
Well, welcome back then, ladies and gentle cars. We have got ourselves a qualifying session here at Spa. We're already, by the looks of things, 4.5 minutes in. Unless it's a shorter qualifying session for this one here, which I find, surely it should be 10 minutes, but...
Yeah,
Connery.
There we go. It reset. It's
right,
fine.
okay.
I think it's because we had such a long lap there, and long last lap, and you know it means that we overrun a little bit into the next session. So it kind of, obviously there was a certain amount of time that drivers need to disconnect from the previous session and reconnect up to this server. So therefore we kind of ate into the start of qualifying a little bit. But the race administrator's on top of it. They've reset everything. We've got 10 minutes of qualifying again.
Yeah, job's good. And so here is race number 2 then. And the difference between this and race number 1 is the fact that we have a 1-hour timed race for you, the endurance race, as we like to call it, with a 30-minute pit window in the middle. So they do indeed have to come through the pits. The longest pit lane in history. It takes 463 minutes to complete a pit stop at Spa. It's the worst place to get a drive-through penalty. How do I know? I've had a drive-through penalty here, and it's painful. It feels like your whole weekend's ruined in there. So it looks pretty good for the AMGs initially, but then they dropped off the pace as the race indeed did progress. Seems like it is a BMW Ferrari frenzy. They seem pretty even here, Connery as well. Moritz Lohner versus Kevin Siggy Part 2. I'm down for that.
Absolutely, I want to see that again. And of course, you know, because it's now we're getting into the endurance race, 60 minutes. We've got tyre wear to think about, which Spencer, when he joined us between the qualifying one and race number 1, he said that might be an issue in particular with things with manufacturers like Mercedes. So we've got that to factor into it. We got the entire strategy calls that can be made here. Undercut might be prevalent if the tyre wear is as bad as we think. And of course, like I said many times before, the lack of preparation from the drivers with only a handful of days between the previous round and this one. So they haven't been able to test, if coming down in early is the faster way to go, or keeping it and going late instead is the more optimal solution. So we're likely, as a result of that, going to be seeing a pretty mixed bag here in terms of the strategy difference between the drivers going long or short. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be a similarly exciting race, I would have thought, just with that added element of the roll of the dice with regards to the strategy sometimes. I mean, it can be a roll of the dice. Sometimes it is very well planned.
Yeah, Marshall there waiting for his teammates, as you saw there, going towards Blanchimont. So, yeah, teammates. It's an individual championship here, ladies and gentlemen, but there are people with teammates in, so they can use each other to try and maximise their time. It's a benefit of having very fast drivers as a part of your team. As we go on board here with Josef. We've got Jonas Wanner here for FSRC Spa-Francorchamps. We haven't seen this livery for a while because Wanner just hasn't had the best of championships. Hopefully today is the difference. He's right in behind Siggy, so hopefully Siggy can drag him along. And it'd be nice to see that AMG up there, the number 19. And actually, he's gone purple through sector 1, being helped along by Siggy. 7 minutes to go. This is the first time laps we are going to see. Most drivers will get 2 attempts, or well, every driver should get 2 attempts really. Some drivers may get 3 attempts at your lap time, and I will just remind you that once it is finished, the session, once it hits 0, that is it. You do not get to finish your lap time, so you need to get your lap time finished before the 0 hits.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's a little bit of a leeway afterwards. It's not entirely the whole story. You do get a little bit of a buffer to complete your lap, but then again, you don't want to be really leaving it until that late, because you might have the session end on you and transfer into race session before you actually get yourself to the line. So yeah, it's certainly something to be aware about, especially with the peculiarity of RaceRoom. But yeah, I mean, the drivers now know what to expect from a qualifying session such as this. They know that it's going to be either maximum 3 laps that they'll have. Some of them might only get 2. It just depends on where you are out on the circuit. You only found another pivotal time for Wanner, so things looking all right for the driver of that AMG Mercedes at the moment. But of course, we know how particular RaceRooms can be sometimes when it comes to purple laps on the first lap, because it seems like as Dorgan also obviously they can't also have purple sector 1 and sector 2. So it all depends on the timing they had their way across the line.
He dropped massively behind Siggy in terms of distance. So I don't think that Wanner's time is really much to be desired here. If I'm honest, I think he's actually probably lost maybe 1.5 seconds over the course of the lap here. Siggy goes fastest, and it's 1.2 seconds he's lost, so close to 1.5 seconds. Pliska goes second, Dorgan in third, then we've got Pfeiffer into second, 2:16.2. So we saw a 2:16.1 in the qualifying session number 1. So there is some time to be found out there. Fiducci needs a big result here, goes up to P2. Puts himself into P2, does the Italian. And I've just realised the pit lane is actually the short version here, so it's not the worst pit lane in the world. It's the second worst one in the world. There we go, yeah, you can see him coming out onto circuit. So all good here. Payet just got up into P3. Yeah, there we go. So Payet just goes across the line. And Jack Keithley up to P5. So, of course, a podium in race number 1. And with 4 minutes, 30 seconds, that is going to be very close as to whether he manages to get that lap time in. Right, all of you watching right now, whether you're on Twitch or indeed YouTube or wherever you might be watching, roll call time, where you're watching from, who are you here supporting? Get yourselves involved in the chat. I'll give you a shout out. Always good to indeed talk to new people. Maybe you're just a fan of DTM and you've stumbled across esports. If you've got any questions, absolutely ask the questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. We're more than happy to help you out here and maybe begin your sim racing journey, especially people who are watching from the DTM channel thinking, oh my, what's this? I've watched DTM, but this is, what? This is, I can do this at home? You absolutely can. And you can take that opportunity up. Siggy, Kevin Siggy of Team Redline in the Ferrari, makes it a Ferrari 1-2 actually, at the front. Page is in third and Pfeiffer. Keithley. No BMWs in the top 5 here, Connery, which is a shot. Obviously, we feel like it will probably, change over the course of the session, but early doors, this is very strange.
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? Because we've seen the BMWs pretty dominant over the course of the season. Of course, not every single race. We had the Norris Ring where they weren't particularly rapid, but it is good to see the other manufacturers getting towards the top of the order. We're running on board with Krippner at the moment in one of those BMWs for DTM Esports. He has not set himself a lap time just yet, which is why we're riding on board with him to see how he does. Got a little bit of a slipstream from a teammate ahead, so that'll certainly be helping out on this lap. Yeah, I mean, Fiducci gets himself up into seconds there. That was a change that I saw on the left-hand side. Yeah, this is not going to be a great lap for Krippner. At least he gets on the board, but it's a P20 and it is dead last. So, yeah, that's not exactly ideal. Let's have a look to see.
It was Pfeiffer that changed there. Pfeiffer's gone to P3. Fiducci was already second. So Pfeiffer's moved himself up one position. He swapped with Pajic. So that was the change you saw there. Only 2 tenths separating the top. It's 8 drivers as it stands. Marko Pajic across the line, he will go. Not enough to even improve there, and he's done now, effectively. Like, he has to finish his lap here, otherwise his session's done. So he can't come in the pit to get a fresh set of rubber. Moritz Lerner, though, has got a teammate of Florian Hasse in front of him here, and it's desperation stations at this stage, really, isn't it? As it stands, because he has to beat Siggy. I think this race here, if he has any intentions of becoming a DTM Esports champion for a second time, he has to beat Siggy here.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? It's at this point, it starts to get... Well, it's already mathematically quite difficult, but if Siggy's able to gain a huge points delta here over the course of the 2 races, then it's going to be all she wrote, unfortunately, for basically everyone behind Siggy. So, yeah, this is a very, very crucial race for Lerner. I mean, you can also say it's for Hasse as well. Hasse is currently giving his teammate the tow, so he's giving him the best chance to get at least one DTM Esports car up towards the very front of the order, at least the DTM Esports BMW. But yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of this lap. Siggy is still out there encircling and went even quicker, faster through Sector 2. What's going to be a Sector 2 time, excuse me, invalid actually. That's not going to be a lap time, it seems, currently, for Kevin Siggy.
He's left the door open. He has left the door open. He's left a little snifter of an opportunity.
Oh, Fiducci.
If these were a group of mice, he's just left a little bit of cheese there. But it's a trap. Is he going to force people to run a little bit too fast? And then they make their own mistakes here, as Fiducci does go very quick through sector number 1. Hasse moves out the way here. This is the perfect team game. Moritz Lerner, I think it's DTM Esports Championship. His hopes balance on this session right now. Through the final chicane they will come. Very smooth transition through there, not losing that rear whatsoever. Across the line he will indeed come, and it's now or never. Where does he end up? Does he go pole? Well, it's how it's worked. He does. He's got pole. A 2:16.139. It's by over 1/10 of a second. The team of DTM Esports have struck once again, and they have absolutely delivered a pole position here. Siggy, again, a P2. It's not going to be the end of the world for him. You know, ultimately that means that the points are going to be shared as well. It's P3 now because Marko Pajic has just thrown a spanner in the works. It's an AMG at the front end of the grid. It's not Jack Keithley this time. It is Marko Pajic with his standout performance of the season so far. Siggy, Fiducci, Pfeiffer, Pliska, Keithley, Rachel, Hasse and Pinches are your top 10. Moritz Lerner's done it. He's on pole position. He has to go out and win here, Connery, but the pressure is still on.
And he is the only BMW in the top 8 cars. That is crazy stuff. Lerner pulling it out of the bag, though. He's got to probably thank Florian Hasse a lot for that, because he gave him a mega slipstream around pretty much the entirety of the lap. But yeah, Lerner really needed that. He's got track position now for the start of this event, but can he hold it? Keithley wasn't able to. Of course, he made a little bit of a defensive error. That meant that the cars behind him were able to squeeze their way through, you know, Siggy and Lerner. Lerner can't afford to have that to happen to him through this first inning. He needs to command things from the very front of the field. Of course, there's the added issue with the whole fuel situation as well. There's a lot of fuel-saving opportunity here that we can maybe eke out a little bit of extra performance as well out of the car. So that's yeah. So that's, you know, you can underfuel in that second stint, for example. It's not probably not going to be worth that much. You probably ask Bunky if that is even feasible or not. I'm just judging based off of my previous experience here at some races at Spa-Francorchamps. But yeah. Oh, we're on for another great one, I suppose, here, Luke. Again, 3 different manufacturers inside the top 3 spaces. and a whole bunch of Mercedes following in tow as well. This is going to be a great one, and with the strategy factoring into this as well, it's all bets are off again.
Yeah, I like this balance of performance change close to the start of the races. I think it really throws it up, and it's obvious who understood the car the most during race number 1, because the qualifying, apart from, let's say, Siggy and, of course, Moritz Lerner, everyone else is really chopped and changed in the qualifying. It's a lot of different names at the sharp end here for the race number 2, so it's all about who's adapted the most out of race number 1. This is going to be a really interesting race here. You say Moritz Lerner, can he hold on to the lead? He absolutely has to. Absolutely has to. If he does not beat Siggy here, again, it is still a possibility that he could go out there and win. You know, we could have, Siggy could have a really bad week. But ultimately, there's just been no evidence of that so far during this championship. Siggy has been the standout driver. So Moritz Lerner has to beat him at the minimum in this race.
Yeah, that's just the simple fact of the situation now. This is why this race is so important for Lerner. I'm just seeing in the YouTube chat, so RB86 saying, is the steering wheel used to turn the car? Yes, you won't be seeing any of these guys on gamepads or keyboards or anything similar. Not that they're bad input methods, they're just bad for the professional side of sim racing. You don't get that granularity, that granular feel, the granular inputs that you can just from a steering wheel. So yeah, all these guys on steering wheels and pedals, and in some cases, quite premium steering wheels and pedals as well. It's not necessary to go fast. However, if you do want a bit more of a consistent feeling, then you might decide to upgrade to a fancier wheel or pedals. And Ben Sparky saying, underfeeling the car is not really feasible. No one will risk it. Okay, so yeah, maybe a little bit too risky to be going for in that situation.
Yep, absolutely. Again, I think if this is the final race of the championship, that's where the risks really are going to be taken. If you're in maybe just in P6, P7 in the championship, and maybe a couple of big results could, or one big result could jump you into that top 5. So remember, ladies and gentlemen at home, the top 5 in this championship will win the prize. So the prize is they get to go to a DTM event this year where they will be judged on multiple different challenges to find out the best candidate to win the main prize, which is a full paid drive in the DTM Trophy 2023. But there's also the prize of being the DTM Esports Champion. So they want to be the champion. They want to be the champion. Oh, it was a joke, RB86.
Oh, well, I fell for it then, I suppose.
Normally jokes are funny. That might be where you fell short, but it is. Don't worry about it.
I thought maybe English might not have been your first language, and I tried to conjecture what the question might have been in a genuine way. But yeah, if it was a joke, you completely fooled me.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop you, Connery. I did think why you're answering this question.
Well, I like to.
Think funny, and well, I'm sure they know what funny is.
Look, I like to see, I like to be hopeful in people. I like to think people don't have ulterior motives. So, I don't know.
Yet people keep rejoining badly in front of you, Connery.
Exactly.
You've not learned your lesson.
You can't stop it. I'm starting to feel that people just do that deliberately now. Whenever they know I'm commentating on a race, they just, that's where all the bad rejoins come out, apparently.
Well, it happened in PESC yesterday, and I called your name out in the chat straight away.
Yeah.
Right, through the final chicane, you can see them all coming into the pits now. That's their preparation over here. Just 2 minutes to go before we head to our 60-minute race. So, differences between 15 minutes and a 60-minute race? Well, first of all, the time. Of course, it is still one formation lap than a 60-minute timed race. They do indeed have a pit window that they have to change their tyres in. It will open around about 15 minutes into the race, and it will close with 15 minutes to go. So yeah, exciting times here. First race was very exciting from start to finish, and I'm sure the second race is going to be very similar indeed, as we do indeed take a look at the podium from race number 1. Kevin Siggy picks up the victory after, I wouldn't say a disappointing week. He just wasn't able to find the performance with the Ferrari at the RaceRoom on Thursday. He managed to get himself 2 podiums, which still was pretty darn good. Then we've got Moritz Lerner. Again, has to beat Siggy. Like, P2's amazing. An incredible performance. P3's an incredible performance. But if you're not beating Siggy, he's already ahead of you in the championship. You're just going to fall backwards. unfortunately. That's just how dominant Siggy's been so far this season. And then we've got Jack Keithley, who was the surprise of the day for sure. Obviously, twin brother with Isaac Price. Isaac Price not here today. I've not actually seen him on the grid, so maybe not making an appearance. But yeah, Jack Keithley, P3 in the standings. And I guess it shouldn't have been a big surprise because at the Lausitz Ring, he was probably the standout performer outside of the front three, just because the car he was in, the AMG, just not very strong at the Lausitz Ring today, did provide some brilliant racing. Unfortunately, just didn't quite manage to hold on to the P1 because he qualified on pole position for race number 1. Here's Pliska then for Team Fordzilla. And we are, what, 20 seconds away. What are we expecting here then, Connery? Is it going to be a little bit of the same or maybe something a bit different?
Well, you know, what I usually say in this situation, and if you go back and look at the other broadcasts, I usually say, as a first stint of the quote-unquote endurance race here, things will be a little bit more tame, and especially compared to the sprint race. However, I don't necessarily think that this will be the case this time around, because everyone is so close together. Everyone will be maintained in their slipstream packs, and they'll want to be going on and pressing forward to try and get towards the front of those packs just to get the track position to then make their strategy work out potentially. So I think this one potentially might be action start to finish. I hope so, because that's what we're all here for. The fantastic door-to-door racing that tends to happen in this series. Maybe our voices don't want it, Luke, but we can. I think we can deal with that if it gives us some good entertainment.
Oh, I'm all for the excitement of race number 1 times 4. I'm absolutely all for it. Mandatory tire change and or refuel. They will have to put fuel in the car, I would imagine. But yeah, in terms, oh no, they might not. I guess it depends how much they put in the car to start off with. But they have to change their tires. So that is the one mandatory thing. They do have to change their tires. 1 formation lap here to go. Connery, give us your final thoughts and give us your predictions of who you think is going to do well here. Maybe a couple of surprises. I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I need to go grab my water. I've realised I've got no water here. I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Absolutely. We've got a formation lap to get out of the way as well, so Luke can go and do that, and I can entertain the crowd just for a little bit longer. But yeah, in terms of my expectations for this race, I mean, we already went over them, or rather the vast majority of them, over the course of this event, but it's just going to be the case of that Moritz Lohner. This is an absolutely crucial event for him. It's he's gotten himself the great track position now, so he's got that one little situation in the bag now, so he's going to be able to get himself at least that little advantage heading in towards this race. However, we saw in behind the fact that Keithley's been pretty strong in this event. Siggy, of course, coming through the field, getting those passes done. We know he can do get the execution done in terms of the overtakes. So he's going to be particularly potent here. But then again, we do have that very big unknown about the whole strategy situation. Who's going to go for the undercut? Who's going to go for maybe the potential overcut as well? That might be a situation. Maybe not so much here at this circuit, but we'll have to wait and see how things turn out. And of course, track position going to be very, very crucial here today as we head our way in towards the Coombe here on this formation lap. Of course, it's going to be a pretty chaotic start potentially as well. We saw things relatively tame towards the very front of the field for the start of the sprint race. However, from the mid-pack and back, there was a little bit more of a chaotic moment and cars flying through the air. I'm pretty sure you saw that, Luke, towards the very back of the shot. I'm pretty sure someone clipped it on your channel as well. So yeah, that was a bit of an awkward moment back there, but yeah, the strategy is going to be insane here. Once we get towards that halfway stage, it's there's a lot of unknowns, and I cannot make a prediction right now, Luke. Anyone in that top 10 could potentially, if we're given the right set of circumstances, take this win. Yeah,
100%. I wanted to know who painted the track there. I didn't even know the racing line existed in this game. The same with iRacing. The other day I was watching a broadcast and someone put the racing line on iRacing. I was like, I didn't even think that existed. But here we are. Yeah, there's a painted line.
I'll be honest. I thought I did something wrong there. I thought, have I pressed the button that I shouldn't have pressed? However, it's gone now without me having to do anything. So I'm not entirely sure what that was about.
This is a little look behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen. Connery has really no idea what he's doing, pressing buttons, and hopefully it works. It's as simple as that. And I just say random words and hope that works too. It is what it is. Right, so pole position then for Moritz Lohner. And then we've got Pajic, Siggy, and Fiducci. It really comes down to, can Lohner get away? If he can get away here and put a bit of a gap between him and Siggy, I think Siggy will be forced to come in for an undercut like he did at Imola, where he went for, he just tried to get track position and it worked out for him there beautifully well. But we are going to see strategy here. This is going to be the difference maker for sure. I think we're going to see a lot of people come in a lot earlier. Isaac Price is here. He's P25, by the way, just a shout there. He is absolutely here. But here we go. We are about to go green light racing through Blanchimont for the very final time. As we line up, it will be BMW, AMG, and Ferrari as your front three. Fiducci in P4. Keep an eye out for him in that beautiful Fordzilla livery. He absolutely needs a big result because it did not go well for him in race number 1, and he is battling for that top 5. So yeah, interesting to see how that goes down. Can Marco Pajic spring a surprise here? We've already seen one AMG lead out for the first couple of laps. It was via pole position and Jack Keithley in race number 1, but can Pajic try and at least get his nose ahead here on that BMW as we see an exclamation mark, some lines all over the track here. Something we're going to have to deal with, I think, here, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go for the green light racing. We are green light racing here. It is indeed round 8, race 2 today of the DTM Esports Championship. Siggy has gone for a dive here, not only on Pajic, but I think he went for a little lunge there on Moritz Lohner. But Siggy, as he did in race number 1, has made up 1 position. He is going to try and make this a 1v1, but look at this. Pajic is trying to keep that AMG in here. Siggy's got a lot more to lose here. You'll see him back out. He absolutely had to back out there. Pajic has got nothing to lose. Lohner offline here, and Pajic will get a run. But look at Siggy. Siggy absolutely dangerous here with that Ferrari. He's a weapon with that Ferrari. Pajic closes the door on the outside here, which is actually going to halt the advancements here of Siggy as someone's doing a backdoor boogie in the background there, which is Vanner, I believe. We head then through the chicane here, lays calm, bit of argy-bargy here between Pajic and Siggy. Siggy's got to be careful here again. He's got the championship to be worried about. He's already leading here, and he doesn't really need to go out and win the races. But you wouldn't be able to tell by his driving style because he absolutely is into the lead here, and Fiducci's going to gain the position on Pajic as well. And now Keithley trying to come through here as well. Pajic trying to close that door, sufficiently does so momentarily. But as it stands then, it is still Lohner that leads, but Siggy up to second. He wants to make it a 1v1. He wants to put all of that pressure on Moritz Lohner, and he absolutely is.
Yeah, and well, Lohner, well, impervious to the pressure at the moment, gets himself about a 6/10 of a second advantage already as we head our way into Lafania for the first time. So Lohner really trying to stretch his legs at this stage. Ideal situation for him is try and break that draft all the way back to Kevin Siggy, but that's going to be a very, very tough ask. He's going like a bat out of hell on this first lap, trying to extend that gap as close to a second as he can, but now that gap is going to be reeled all the way back in as Siggy is currently close enough that he's feeling the tail end of the slipstream and can get himself a little bit closer. Now that starts kicking in on their way up towards Blanchimont. Remember, there's a whole bunch of drivers behind as well that certainly will want to get themselves involved in a battle for the podium places. So coming towards the end of the first lap into the big braking zone that is the bus stop for the first time, and well, situations going on behind. Someone just spat out right across the circuit. That was Vermeulen. Yeah, that was Vermeulen having a big issue.
Yeah, Vermeulen, he's protesting against the racing line being on in the session right now. He's furious, so he just wanted to drive over, saying, I'm not abiding by that line. I'm going to take my own line through here. Again, we have no idea. We have no idea why this line's on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not worry about it too much. It seems to disappear as we come over the top of Radion and Eau Rouge. Moritz Lohner took full advantage of the fact that he wasn't involved in the battle at the start there. He just drove away. But already, Siggy has indeed reeled him in. Into the slipstream he will come. Along the Kemmel Straight they will come. And will Siggy be able to make a move here? He'll be patient again. He's got too much to lose here. Or is he going for it? No, he won't. He's going to decide to back out of that situation here. Fiducci, fair play to him. He's up to a top 3. If you offered him that right now, he absolutely takes it for sure. Pajic now down to P4. Keithley in the top 5. I podium and a top 5 for Keithley, he would be pretty happy with that. Marshall out of this race, as we've already seen as well. I will say this though, Isaac Price, where is he now? Well, he was up to P21. He's not anymore. He's P23, so he was like the biggest mover out of everybody. He's now down to P23. So as it stands, then it's still Lona, Siggy, Fiducci. Siggy, as much as he's battled and he lost a bit of time to the leader, he is absolutely on form today. Race 1, I don't think he'll be overly too pleased with how it went in terms of the result. Of course, he's going to be happy he won the race, right? But it just wasn't as simple as that. It was a very hard-fought win, which, on historic form this season, has not been overly too difficult for someone of his talent.
Ooh, and we got ourselves a drive-through penalty for Manuel Rodriguez for ignoring slow down warnings. So just to explain that a little bit, if you take yourself off the track and use track limits and cut the corner or anything like that, then you get yourself a slowdown penalty. If you do not serve that slowdown penalty, then you're given a drive-through penalty. Simple as. Yeah,
there we go. And that is a strange one because some people won't have the right HUD on, so they won't even see the penalties come up. That is actually an issue that people can have with RaceRoom. If you've not got the right HUD, and that is really your problem. That is the individual's problem. You should have a HUD that shows you that. But ultimately, if you ignore it, you get yourself a drive-through there. Manu, a beautiful-looking human being. Don't get me wrong, and he is a really good sim racer. But this championship just has not gone well for him at all. As well, we see him there involved, and that is Luciano Whitfoot, who's facing the wrong way. Balash Esports driver. Not a good championship here for the Balash outfit, unfortunately. And yeah, that's going to be a massive drop down in positions. That's probably going to put Price up another one. Yeah, he's up to P22 now. We're on board here with Florian Hasse, who's had an incredible week so far, but today it's not been the greatest. It's been more of a, I don't know, more of a backup driver, hasn't he, to Lona, helping him in qualifying. He's under a lot of pressure from Hoogveld, to be fair. Although we might see now a transition for P1. So Siggy then is going to be forced to go around the outside, and he is absolutely going to return this RSVP, and he's going to try and hold on to the position. Morris Lerner has to leave the room there around the outside. He should have the inside line through here, should hold the position, but ultimately as they come down the hill, if Siggy gets a nice run, he will send one up the inside through Bruxelles. He's not quite close enough. And really, the real winner in this situation is Fiducci. Fiducci is in the hunt for this race victory.
Yep, he is. And, well, Fiducci, he's been waiting for results, back on form, shall we say. He's had very consistent results in the championship so far. That's the reason why he resided in 5th place coming into this here today. But this will be a decent boost of points in the championship for him. Podium finish, ideal. However, every racing driver wants to go for the race win. And, well, in being in the leading pack, the leading 4 cars, is a good way to give yourself a relatively good chance at doing just that. But still very early stages, still that pit stop to be concerned about as well. And by the way, an update on the rogue racing line that we have appear sometimes. Unfortunately, that's not a thing that I can fix at the moment because it's some weird little issue that hopefully will be patched soon. But for now, we're just going to have to deal with it and just imagine that it's a fancy overlay or, 3D hologram or something.
Yeah, I'm all down for imagining it being a fancy overlay.
I don't know. I'm just trying to make excuses, okay, Luke?
It's not something we can figure out ourselves. It's an issue. Whatever. We move on. Payage then looking to try and make a move here for a top 3. I'll tell you what, look a bit further back here. Pfeiffer has got the move done on Keithley. Oh, that was outstanding. We just about saw it. He had the outside line and just kept the overlap on the exit, and he has. There we go. So Pfeiffer moves up a position. He reads the fact that Keithley is absolutely going to dive up the inside here. That's a little bit messy there from Keithley, if I'm honest. I don't really want to see that kind of move. I think it looks a lot less worse because Pfeiffer moves out the way, but now Pfeiffer's under pressure here from, I believe, Florian Hasse. Hasse is actually already ahead because we come then up over Radion. He is. He's massively ahead here. So Pfeiffer makes move of the day for me, but then instantly loses 2 spots here. So we've got a battle for the lead. Lona then still got that nose up in front. They're door banging their way in towards the chicane here. And you can see using all of the curb on the exit is indeed Kevin Siggy. Moritz Lona, though, is still holding on that inside line. It's perfectly respectful on the outside there. Fiducci closes up. Pajic closes up. And, well, if you indeed are Kevin Siggy and you want to make this move, you've got to have that overlap around the outside and have that inside line down in towards No Name. Has he got the overlap here to work with? He does not. Front 4 now close once again because of this battle at the front. Lona slides his way there through No Name. And now, again, it just brings the other two drivers into place, Fiducci here and Pajic. And if you're wondering if these drivers are tyre saving at any point during this first stint, well, there's your answer. They absolutely are not.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say I was right about predicting how the start of this race would go, but I was right with the outright fighting for track position this early on. No calm. Oh, let's just bring it to the first and only stops that we have here at this race. It seems like well, passing and track position is the name of the game here at the moment. Lohner has a good middle sector there, though. He's able to pull out about half a second back to Kevin Siggy. Again, though, that will all be gobbled up because of the slipstream. Fiducci getting himself pretty close here as well. The two Ferraris in the middle of that 4-car pack right now. 10 minutes elapsed, 50 to go. Still a long way from those stops, but if these guys at the front of this particular train decide to, keep going at this fighting, keep getting side by sides, then Fiducci and Pajic might have half a mind to try and get down on towards the pit lane slightly early, try and get an undercut while they're trying to go, while they're trying to do battle between Lohner and Siggy.
Yeah, I think as much as it doesn't look like it at the moment, Keithley's closing up here, and if Hassa and Pfeiffer are clever about this, someone's in the pits here. Oh, that's Manu Rodriguez, I think, actually. Who's coming into the pits. If they're clever about this, let the group in front fight. Has Pajic made a mistake here? He has. Pajic makes a huge mistake. He's now dropped a second back here. Who's just been disqualified? I think that might be Manu Rodriguez, actually. So we've on board here with Kevin Siggy as he's right underneath that rear wing of the BMW. The BMW, again, will not leave that inside line open, but look who's pushing as well. They're bump drafting. They're absolutely bump drafting here. Fiducci pushing Siggy to the lead of this race. This is his furthest he's been ahead so far. Up through Les Combes he will come, and even before the apex here, he will take the lead of this race now. And Fiducci absolutely helped his fellow Ferrari driver there. He pushed him to the lead of this race. This is like oval. It's like NASCAR.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, no team orders, maybe manufacturer orders if there was such a thing, but yeah.
Oh, there is a DTM.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, not in the series though. Maybe in DTM, maybe in the real life DTM, but not in the series. But it's, yeah, crazy stuff as Siggy. I mean, there'll be some pretty nice birthday or Christmas gifts sent Fiducci's way with that much help coming down the Camel Straight in towards the Combe to get that crucial overlap. And well, it wasn't even really an overlap in the end, was it? It was basically clear.
Yeah, 100%. It was really nicely worked there. And now Moritz Lohner kind of doesn't need the pressure of Fiducci in behind. It seems like the tyre wear of the BMW is just not very good. It's quick. It's a quick car. It's quick in a straight line. And actually, you can see you probably close right back up here before they even get down towards that bus stop chicane. But it just seems like getting the power down is a bit of a nightmare. If you can nail that, you are absolutely in a great spot with a BMW because it's just so quick once it gets going. Down towards Blanchimont they come, using all of that AstroTurf on the right-hand side of your screen. And here we go, once again. Here's an opportunity. Oh, he's been forced to go around the outside then. Siggy is going to make that move as well. Late on the brakes here. Look at this. Moritz Lohner has got it again. He's got the opportunity again here. Can he get the power down early? He can. He is going to drag race Siggy all the way down towards turn number 1. And I think Siggy's going to have to give it up. No, his second phase. The transition through second to third gear was mega from Siggy. Look at this though, Moritz Lohner pinning Siggy onto the apex here, and Siggy will hold on to P1, but look at this, Fiducci trying to pick up any pieces here. Lohner has to leave that room by the wall, doesn't want to be forcing someone into the wall there. Fiducci really has to back out of this situation here. I tell you what, he hasn't. Lohner's backed out of this situation. Fiducci up to P2, and after race number 1, there's contact between them over the top of Radion here, and this is just going to let Siggy drive away. Fiducci needs this. He had a terrible race number 1. If he wants to hold on to this top 5, he absolutely needs this here. As the pit window is open, you've got the red boxes next to their name. When that goes green, that means they've pit. So keep an eye on that. But ultimately, Siggy's been able to drive away. Pajic, who lost a full second on the previous lap, has caught right back up here.
Who dares call this early, though, in terms of the pit stops? Who decides to come down on towards the pit lane? We're already seeing someone, or already maybe deciding to come down in, unless that's a battle there, down in the mid-pack. No, I don't think they're in towards the pit lane just yet, but yeah, this at the end of this lap will be quite telling with regards to who is going to try and get the early advantage, try and get that undercut going as early as is possible. It's especially attractive when you're aware that this leading pack are absolutely fighting tooth and nail for every position. If you can come down in, pit, get some clear air out there, and try pump in quali lap after quali lap, then you're going to be gaining a whole bunch of time over people that are going side by side.
Yeah, 100%. But then you've also got to factor in if you're out of the toe. So if you come in early and you lose that toe, we've seen how important that is. So there's one thing, yeah, this group of cars, of course, they're going to be losing a lot of time. The perfect scenario right now is if you're Moritz Lohner, P3, or the car in front of you, or the car behind you is a teammate. Because then you could come in with them and just go, look, let's work together here. But he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that luxury like we had at the Lausitz Ring. So right now, it is all about using your own wits, using your own strategy here to make the best of your race. The front four have kind of split up ever so slightly. Siggy, who I would say would have been a driver to come in early, he leaves the race. He's not coming in early now. Would there be anyone that makes that decision? No, no one's going to make that decision to come in early here. Again, it will be a little bit too early, especially for like the AMGs. There's just absolutely no chance of that happening. Here's Otto Viani, then the R8G driver. As we see a battle in front here, Vermeulen, I think, and Attila Dinja. It is Vermeulen and Attila Dinja. Vermeulen's got a relatively good exit here, though. But Dinja really did open up the exit of the corner to try and, well, he's going to dive up the inside of turn 1 here, isn't he? He absolutely is. Attila Dinja is going to make the move there. He's going to run a little bit wide. Vermeulen has kind of sort of done the old Olay there with the red scarf for the ball and said, you crack on, my friend. There's going to be nobody home when you make the move, and I'm going to retake that position. But ultimately, he's now going to be under pressure over Radion and Eau Rouge up towards Lace-Combe.
Yeah. And as long as Attila Dinja can get this, get the car planted over the top of Radion, then he's going to have a big advantage and trying to drag himself as close as possible to get maybe a little bit of the side draft on the way down in towards the braking zone for Lacombe. And, well, Dinja, it requires a big commitment around the outside to be able to do it there, and that's always a closing gap. You don't want to stick your nose in where it doesn't belong through that left-hand apex of that entire complex, but Dinja was able to get away with it there and not tag the back of Vermeulen ahead. So great battle going on here for P11 and back. Of course, minor points, but still points nonetheless, I would have thought, back to this position. In the end, it might indeed matter for other positions further down in terms of the championship. But it's kind of surprising seeing some of the names down here. I mean, we've got Isaac Price down in 19th place. Yes, it is an improvement compared to where he started, but it's not usually the standard that we see from him. And I'm pretty sure you'd be fine with me saying that.
Yeah, well, he wasn't fine with me saying roll back the years. He had to post on Twitter about me, didn't he? Yeah, unbelievable. It is what it is, Isaac. In 28, you said, I'm 28 years old. I'm in my prime. Here to break it to you, my friend. In 2022, that's an old man in sim racing. It is as simple as that.
I'm 24, so...
That's true. Do we have the lower third with the picture of Isaac, by any chance?
Yeah, we can grab that up. There we go.
There you go. Does this picture not make him look 40? I'm just throwing it out there. It is what it is. Sorry, Isaac. I'm going to throw you under the bus after your outburst like a child on Twitter. But yeah, again, Price has just not really had a good day today. He had a great day, providing a double overtake around the outside of turn 2 at the Lausitz Ring. But today's not been the greatest. And our first move and shaker, Marko Pajic is into the pits, ladies and gentlemen, from P4 on the grid or on the racetrack, into the pits early. The AMGs, we were told by Bentz that indeed it was going to be the case that their tyre wear was worse than everybody else's. Seems like it's going to be a struggle bus the last 20 minutes here, but the undercut, is there the opportunity here for a gain of a couple of positions? We're on board with Vermeulen, who is now the cork in the bottle, the lead of this train here, ahead and then of Attila Dinja. Otto Viani, who's just pulled that blue Ferrari out from the slipstream here, over the top of Radion, over the top of Eau Rouge. And, well, they've got a BMW of, what was that, Leonard Krippner, who had an incredible week at the Lausitz Ring this week, but unfortunately not having the best of days here at Spa. Again, make sure they use all of that racing line there just to make sure that they're on the optimum line as we head then towards Lace-Combe. And it's going to be a sweep around the outside if ever I see one. Attila Dinja is going to be squeezed there by Vermeulen. And I tell you what, fair play to Vermeulen. He absolutely left a perfect amount of room on the exit there. Didn't have to, could have squeezed him a bit more, but decided against it now. And is it going to be to a detriment effect of his race? It's not. So Vermeulen, hard but fair, aggressive but fair, and Dinja is not going to find that gap. Otto Viani in behind him, trying to find himself an opportunity. And I tell you what, down towards No Name, he's going to force Vermeulen offline. That's clever. That's really clever there from Dinja. You've got to let him back on, though. Vermeulen, though, still holding firm down towards Huon, and it is still Vermeulen that holds the lead of this break.
Yeah, a bit of a brick wall at the moment. It seems that the Ferrari piloted by the Belgian driver, and Dinja might get a little frustrated. Now Dinja has to look behind him because Otto Viani has decided to stick one up the inside at the first apex. Lafagna not going to be successful in that little escapade though, and Krippner, fourth car in line in this one, not going to get himself involved just yet. Remember though, pit window is open. We've only seen 2 drivers come down in and get the stop done early, shall we say. So Page and Pinchers, they have both decided to come down in and get themselves their service done before the 40 minutes to go mark. Whether or not we'll see anyone come down in this lap, well, it still remains to be seen. We don't see anyone for at least the very front come down in, and the second grouping back there also deciding that they want to go at least one more lap as well. So yeah, they want to push this out as much as possible. Just to make sure they don't have a mega 45-minute stint on their second set of tyres.
What was the lap time from Siggy that time round? What was the lap time?
2:17.3.
2:17.3. So where's Payich on track right now?
Payich is down the order. I don't have a lap time for him yet.
There we go. No, so he's coming around the bus stop now. So keep an eye on the next time he crosses the line after this one, and you'll get a look as to whether he's managing to lap similar pace to Siggy, or whether he really does lack the slipstream power. Is it coming in early, having fresh rubber on the car? Is it making that big a difference? We'll keep an eye on him. In the next couple of minutes, we'll check out what Payich's lap times are. So we're looking at around about 2:17.4. You can write it in the chat so we remember, guys and girls. Yeah, let's see whether Payich's decision to come in early was the right one. Markovic is also in the pits. He's done his pit stop now. He comes back out. Who else is pitted as well? It's Pinches Dinya, P20. I'm not too sure who P20 is. Yeah, Seoul Audi on the grid. Might be good to give him a bit of camera time, actually, in P20. So there we go. Ralph Pringer, there we go. So Pringer there, the only Audi on the grid, down in P20, pit stop done. Markovic just in behind. Markovic right in behind, actually, should I say. Finucci now, about a second behind Siggy. Siggy eking out this lead. And whilst you keep eking out this lead, there's no reason to come into the pits, right? Everyone else behind may start to panic and think they have to change something. He can just stay out as long as he wants now.
Yeah, the bigger the gap back to Fiducci, the more breathing room that Siggy has. He doesn't have to instantly respond to anything necessarily, and even if he does get the decision wrong slightly and someone's able to get a good undercut on him, they still need to eat into that second buffer that he's been able to build. And if he's able to get that up to 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, then that's just more the merrier for Kevin Siggy, as Fiducci, well, maybe slightly more concerned about how close Lohner is behind at the moment. All of them decided not to come down in just yet, although I did see Jack Keithley. Keithley's in. That's another Mercedes as well.
Yeah, Keithley into the pits there. So Mercedes seem to be the cars that are coming in really, really early here. And can you get track position? It's one of those tracks where I don't think track position overly matters too much, because there are just plenty of overtaking opportunities. So this will be a case of they just have to get it. They have to come in. 38 minutes still to go. I guess the cars are going to be a lot lighter, so tyre wear will be in the second phase of this race a little bit better. So they might be able to last a little bit longer, but I'm still thinking the last 10 minutes here for someone like Payich or someone like Keithley is going to be very much in trouble here. Here we go then, around the final corner for Payich. We're looking at about 2:17.4 is what we're looking for in terms of time. If he's within a couple of tenths here, I feel like he's lapping as quickly as Fiducci and Lohner. What's he produced?
2:17.1.
Oh, hello. Oh, I don't know where that voice come from, ladies and gentlemen, but here we are. Marco Payich is now the quickest out there on circuit. So coming in early to get track position might be the best decision he's made. Of course, he knows that the other drivers will come in eventually, and they will have to have fresh rubber, and they will be quick. But, wow, okay, this is good.
Yeah, but, how good are those tyres going to be? At least for any extended period of time, because we saw the tyre drop-off be a little bit more significant for the Mercedes over the course of this event. Oh, was it Price actually taking the toe back to the pit lane there? Potentially, yeah. He's decided to fall through the scenery here, unfortunately.
Go on board with Price. He's disconnected. Go on board with him. Go in the cockpit cam.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I believe I can fly. Woo! I believe... No, it's not singing. Okay, carry on. Sorry, the disconnecting RaceRoom always cracks me up. They end up flying. They get further and further away, and then you just see, like, the globe. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, there we go. He's unfortunately no longer in this race. So lots of DNFs as we come up towards the end of this race. We've just got Burnt Mylander fan, who actually races in some of the DTM support series, actually. If you don't know who Mylander is, he is the driver for the safety car for Formula One.
Fiducci in.
Yeah, he's also a race driver in his own right. As Gianmarco Fiducci decides to come in, and well, this is a case of I think he has to cover off Pajic. I think Pajic has already got him though. So we'll stay on board with Fiducci, I guess, and just see the merge. Got to see the merge between him and Pajic. See where Pajic is. There he is, coming up towards Blanchimont. So actually, let's go on board with Marco Pajic. See how exciting this could be. Oh, we might have to use a bit of helicopter cam here, Connery. I know we've got to throw it out there at some point. Get that chopper cam out.
I don't know. In race, I don't have a chopper cam, unfortunately, on RaceRoom here. At least.
Oh no.
No.
Oh, that's not ideal. Oh well. Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Action cam. Have you got that one?
No, I just have the TV cams, unfortunately. That's just the only ones I can access with the overlay, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Up towards then turn number 1 we will come. This will be where the merge is. Where's Fiducci? Is Fiducci coming out the pits? Oh, it's close. It's close. It's very close. And Fiducci's lost it. Pajic then does come out ahead, but it is absolutely nothing. Nothing in it. Fiducci's going to have better tyres near the end of this race. But right now, the longer I think Siggy and Lona stay out here, the more likely Pajic could go into the lead of this race. So these two are going to be very quick together. If they work together here, they've got to be clever. Don't battle too crazily. Maybe leapfrog each other if you can. But if you can't, just be patient. Siggy, still leading this race. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he just stays out until the midway point of this race, which is only 4 minutes, to be fair. So maybe they do come in now. I don't know.
Yeah, it was another 0.3 of a second taken out by Pajic that last time around. But, I mean, Bunky repeats my point that I was going to make in the YouTube chat, saying that there'll be a bit of a sitting duck, the Mercedes at least of Pajic will be a bit of a sitting duck in the final handful of laps because, those tyres would have gone so much longer than everyone else. So he's reaping the benefits at the moment, but, the narrative switches somewhat at the very end of this race once, Siggy and Lona and Hassa, they all get themselves onto the fresher tyres. The advantage switches back around. So Pajic is trying to wring the most out of those tyres, at least right now, as much as he can, and hope that he can hold on to track position after the pit stops happen and try and hold cars on fresher tyres behind him for as long as is possible. It's tough to do here at Spa, though.
It is really tough. If there's a circuit on the calendar, this is the toughest place to do it. So, yeah, it remains to be seen. But all of these drivers are in this competition at this level because, well, they are really, really quite good. Shout out René de Boer in the chat right now. He is basically my real-life Bent Banky. He will be in the chats when I'm commentating on DTM stuff, telling me when I'm wrong and giving me facts and all sorts of stuff. So big shout out to René, lovely chap, and he's a fountain of knowledge. This guy knows absolutely anything and everything that there is to do with motorsport. There's Alessandro Ottaviani then, trying to find himself an opportunity. You can see the NOS can there on the right-hand side. He's opening that up for sure. He's trying to find a gap up the inside. He's going to have to go very late on the brakes here around the outside. And wow, he's going to pinch the tailored rig motorsports car onto the apex. And they've taken out the Arnage competition car. And that is a bit of, wow, Adam Pinches is going to be absolutely furious there with how that's gone down. And that just could have been avoided. I think that Ottaviani, and was it Attila Digna? I think it was, wasn't it? I think that they were far too aggressive with each other there. I think Ottaviani, he set it up nicely. I don't think the move was ever quite on. I don't think he's quite close enough or big enough in terms of the overlap around the outside. But Digna did not leave him any room around the outside at all there. He squeezed him off the circuit effectively. Pinches is going to be furious, and I'm sure that will be looked at by the stewards for sure. But again, another mid-pack battle here. We've got Ottaviani, Digna, then we've got in behind Paringa, then we've got Markovic, we've got Vermeulen, and then we've got Adam Pinches. So that is the mid-pack battle. They're a little bit further back though on Pfeiffer. They've got Keithley. Keithley, how far is he behind Fiducci and Pajic? About 3 seconds, so similar to what he was when he came into the pits. But Fiducci, Pajic, they're lapping quickly right now. It's all about when Siggy and Lona come in. I would imagine Siggy and Lona, they come in now. It's pretty much the halfway point of the race. They split it 50-50 and then just see what they can do. I think Lona's playing a very clever game here, if I'm honest with you, Connery. I think he realised, we saw it earlier on, when he was under so much pressure from Fiducci, he just gave the position up. I think he's playing the long game here. I think he knows that if he could be in and amongst it with 10 minutes to go, he has the car to make the overtake to win this race.
Another point though, Pajic 117 flat last time by 5/10, almost 6/10 of a second faster than your race leaders as well. Here comes Siggy then, down on towards the pit lane. Feels like he's hemorrhaging a little bit too much time. Pitting around about the halfway point, not bad place to be, as Lona has also decided to come down in. Hassa, though, has decided to go at least one more.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the fact that they would double stack and lose time in the pits. It is just a preference here. They want to maybe have a bit fresher tyres with the last lap to go in this race. But as it stands then, it is Moritz Lohner and indeed, well, Marco Pajic. Well, here we go. So Marco Pajic and Fiducci, ultimately, they're looking to take the lead of this race. They came in early with their strategy. They made the call to come in early. They're going to be hurting later in this race. But what is it meant for track position? There is Siggy, and Pajic is not quite going to get him. He is not quite going to get him. There's not enough momentum here. But who have they got? They got Moritz Lohner. So Lohner then is under some severe pressure right now. If he wants to be the DTM Esports champion for a second time, he now has to make 3 overtakes, but he also has to overturn that deficit on track, which is around about 3 seconds.
Yeah, he does. So he needs to catch up, get back inside the slipstream. Of course, the fresher tyres will be helping him to do so, and a potential battle between Pajic and Fiducci might also assist in that as well, as Fiducci decides to head his way down the inside, aggressive at Lecombe, trying to get this pass done on the AMG Mercedes. The fresher tyres on the Ferrari going to be paying dividends as they head their way through Malmedy, as Fiducci on the inside almost crowds the Mercedes off the circuit, but he's got the position done. That was a quick decision there for Fiducci to go aggressive. Now we can start the chase after Siggy, but with a couple of laps in terms of the lap delta on the tyres, it's going to be a very tough ask. But I felt like he needed to get by sooner rather than later, and lest he risk losing the slipstream to the leader.
Fortunately, we don't have replays of that, but I wanted to show you something very key to that move for Fiducci was Kevin Siggy. Kevin Siggy had given the slipstream all the way along the Kemmel Straight to Marco Pajic, and then at the end, just before the braking zone, he moved over and shared the slipstream and gave a bit to Fiducci, which gave Fiducci that momentum, which was he was able to then make the move up the inside and towards Lacecombe. So again, Siggy wasn't doing it out of the kindness of his own heart, by the way. Like, he wasn't doing it to get Fiducci ahead. It was a case of he wanted to slow them both down. So he wanted to give, instead of one driver 100% of the slipstream, he wanted to kind of give them 50-50, which means that they both benefit 50% less, effectively. As Dorniden is into the pits then, and so is Petr Pliska. Has stayed out, by the way, again. So he stayed out another one. Leonard Kripner has also stayed out here. And we have got Fox, who's not into the pits as well. Although I don't know whether they've quite come past the pit entry line here. Well, there's Fiducci. There we go. So actually, no, Fox did come into the pit. So you can see the MediaMarkt car there through the pit lane as it stands. So Fiducci trying to chase down Kevin Siggy. I thought Siggy was going to be able to drive away here very, very easily, but he absolutely is not. That is close, isn't it? And actually, Moritz Lohner is very close as well. So they are all starting to close up here nicely. And I think we are, I don't know, imagine a pot of potatoes on top of the stove right now. And they're just around about Mark 4 on the little knob that you turn. And then when you're going to get to, Mark 6 is going to start to boil. I think we're around about 5 minutes away from this starting to boil.
I want more gas stove analogies from you, Luke. Like, it's good to paint a picture, I suppose. But you are right, no matter how convoluted the metaphor. But Siggy, he's been unable to get away. That was a crucial little sort of half a lap for Siggy, because it would have really helped his case that he was able to get himself more than a second ahead of the battle behind him, and able to try and run off into the distance with the fresher tyres compared to the two of them. But he was unsuccessful in doing so, and now the difference in the tyres is somewhat equalised due to the fact that Fiducci, can just allow Siggy to pull him around the racetrack and keep him in contention. So, I always call the draft a great equaliser. It seems like it might be happening again.
Yeah, especially around Spa. Spa's very renowned for it. It's really about whether Moritz Lohner can get involved. We know once that BMW gets going, it is an absolute monster in a straight line. It's just about laying that power down. That's where it struggles, the acceleration. Again, the car just wants to do too much too early on the exit of a corner. We're seeing that being the untidiest of the cars on the exits of corners. As we finally see race leader Florian Hasser come in, we'll drop back to around about P8, I would imagine, around sort of between 7th, 8th, around that mark, I would say. Leonard Kripner has come into the pits as well, so both the Esports teammates are in. All the other red dots, all the red squares you see next to their names at the bottom means that they are unfortunately out of this race. Isaac Price, Rachel, we have Whitworth, Vanna, Bodin and Manu Rodriguez, who got disqualified because he did not take a slowdown penalty. And, well, this is as close as it's been so far. Look at Lona in that BMW as well. The top 4, as it stands, Siggy, Fiducci, Pajic, Lona. If Lona wants to become a 2-time DTM Esports champion, effectively has to beat, I think, again, it's not mathematically impossible, but I think he will be so damaged in terms of his mind throughout this championship that he will struggle. I think you'll find that Hassa is coming out ahead of Hugveld here. Hugveld winner from the Norris ring as well. So race winners, how many race winners have we had? We've only had 3, right? 3 race winners in total. We have had Kevin Siggy, we have had Moritz Lona, and we have had Hugveld, right, who won 1. Yeah. So, yeah, are we going to see a new race winner here? Fiducci has got a lot of work to do here. Pajic potentially for Veloce. Can they maybe give us our 4th different winner of the season?
Yeah, so it's, well, in terms of teams, of course, Fiducci says, well, of course, part of Team Fordzilla, so it's Redline from Fordzilla from Veloce at the moment, and then you've got DTM Esports in 4th place, and of course, Jack Keithley, it says, of course, from Williams Esports, he's in the Williams Esports livery as well, so yeah, 5 different teams represented in the top 5 positions, which is what you love to see. Love to see the varieties in terms of the liveries towards the top as well, so it isn't just one team that's trying to win everything. I mean, you can apply that to many series, not even in RaceRoom as well. But that aside, Kevin Siggy doing a fantastic job, still about half a second ahead of Fiducci with the fresher tyres as well, so that'll be a big benefit for the final 24 minutes that we have to run. Now, Fiducci's in a little bit of an awkward spot at the moment because he's not quite getting close enough to apply the pressure onto the back of Siggy. Yes, he's maintaining the slipstream. He's being within that second that he needs to try and get that. And it's, the gap fluctuating between about 0.5 of a second and 0.8 of a second at the moment. But it's not getting any lower than that for Fiducci. And if Fiducci wants to have himself a chance at a race win today, he needs to continue to try and push on. He needs to try and extract as much performance out of those tyres as is possible to try and get close enough that he can actually have an attempt here at some point.
Yeah, but is it intentional? Is it a case of, look, I want to have really good tyres? It's all relative, isn't it? Like, we won't have the most amazing tyres because they'll be around about 25 minutes old. But last 10 minutes, I just want to have half-decent tyres to go and attack him and let him burn them out right now. I'll just be dragged along. Like you said earlier on, that might be the case here. I think Lona, again, he's the one who has to really pile the pressure on now. In terms of the first race there, Marin Heller, it was Kevin Siggy that won the race. It was Moritz Lona in 2nd spot, and then in 3rd it was Jack Keithley for Williams Esports in 3rd position. As it stands here, Siggy looking for a double race victory here. Fiducci in 2nd spot then, which would be a really good day, real good turnaround, because race 1 he was involved in an incident that ultimately cost him a shed load of points, was in the top 5 coming into today. A P2 here would definitely consolidate him and put him in a top 5 position coming out of today. Jack Keithley with a podium in race 1 and P5, he could be staring down the barrel of potentially moving up into that top 5 of Ottaviani, who was in 5th position, or was he 5th position or 4th spot? Ottaviani was actually 4th position, not had a good day here today. Keithley could be a driver that closes that gap. So as much as Siggy winning this race would make the championship very difficult for anyone to win, battle for the top 5, because remember, the prizes for this championship are 5 drivers will advance and go to a sighting event with DTM. So one of the events this season during the championship, and they will be judged on, during some challenges, and the winner over those 5 drivers, the best candidate, will win themselves a full paid-for season in the DTM Trophy 2023. So yeah, it's all great being the DTM Esports champion, but getting that top 5 is the main objective right now. So yeah, the landscape of this championship is absolutely going to change here. Keithley, who was our vice champion for season 1, the first ever DTM Esports, and it was indeed Moritz Lona, who is our current champion, hence with the number 1 on his car. Kevin Siggy is looking to become not only a top 5 driver here to get to the sighting event, but also become a champion. He has been, well, 2022 has just been an incredible year so far for him, and he's looking to extend that with a DTM Esports Championship. Fiducci, though, he's looking for a race victory here. He wants to try and get himself into that top 5. As it stands, though, Siggy 4.5 tenths clear. Pajic in 3rd spot. Maybe he's just sitting back here waiting to pounce like a panther a little bit later on in this race. Lerner under a second behind Pajic now. So that BMW, we know once it gets going in a straight line, it is an absolute rocket ship. Can it get close enough to these Ferraris? 21.5 minutes to go here, Connery. It is simmering nicely. I think it's about ready to explode.
Fiducci is getting closer and closer, in particular on the way into the braking zone to Lacombe. Oh, keep it together, Fiducci.
Oh, that'll make it past Brown.
Yeah, he was able to keep it pointed in the right direction somehow, but that's a scary, scary moment off the top of Radion. It ruins his run somewhat coming down the Kemmel Straight as well. It's not as close into the braking zone this time around. Meanwhile, in the background, Keith Lee and Pfeiffer are still close for P5.
Yeah, I tell you what, right now, Fiducci will have what will look like a melted Snickers on his race seat by the end of this, because that was horrendous. That was scary. But he held on to it. He's still involved here, and that says to me that he might be starting to struggle with his tyre wear. Lona, by the way, is really catching up to Payage. This could be a chance for him to slingshot his way up towards that P1. He has to. It's really as simple as that. He has to make the overtake on Payage as soon as he possibly can, and then look towards trying to get up towards Fiducci and then Siggy. Has Lona saved something for the end of this race here? That's the big question. I'm sure he's going to be able to attack Payage. Payage is the first driver to come in out of everybody. He indeed got track position over Fiducci, and indeed Lona did not get track position over Siggy, but he is going to be struggling now. So how easy is this going to be for Moritz Lona? You'd like to think he's done this lap for him if he wants to go and chase down those front two. The two Ferraris, though, Fiducci and Siggy, they are looking so strong.
Page this is going to be the stage where he starts to struggle just that little bit more. He was already about 0.3 of a second slower than both Siggy and Fiducci a little bit further down the road. So maybe Bunky's prediction in the chat might be correct here, that Page is going to be a bit of a sitting duck, and he just lets him go. Yeah, there's no point in fighting it if it's a losing battle.
Well, he's probably thinking, do you know what? What's my best chance of catching up to the two in front? Is it battling with Moritz Lona and costing us both time? Or is it the chance I might be able to just hang on to the back of this BMW and maybe be dragged along towards those Ferraris and hope the Ferraris have a little bit of a battle? I think this is the best decision. Marko Pejec is someone who is very calculated behind the wheel, makes very good split-second decisions. I think this might be another good one. Has he got the tyres and the car underneath him to hang with Lona? I'm not sure. It's not going to hurt, though, giving it a go.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do all you can. You've already shown your hand with regards to your strategy, and it's some success. You're able to hold on to those positions just for a little while, but unfortunately, on the back foot now.
Sorry, Pfeiffer's got to run here for P5. You can just see him behind here. Jack Keithley in the number 44. Both of these drivers sporting the AMG. I thought Pfeiffer was a little bit closer. Again, sorry to cut you off there, Connery. It would appear that these two battling like they are, Hasser is indeed closing that gap as well, and he has got some fresh rubber. So again, if he can get that BMW's traction down on the exits of corners, could be in for a decent finish here, and maybe looking to push into a top 5. And with the incredible week he had at Lausitzring, a top 5 here would be massive in terms of making his way towards that front 5 in this championship. Fiducci, by the way, I thought he was done and dusted with that mistake over Radion earlier on, but figured it out. 0.4 of a second now behind. Lona needs these two to battle realistically. Can Fiducci throw something out there? A P1 right now, and he is going to put himself in a very strong position to be in that top 5. And actually, Fiducci was in the chat on Thursday, wasn't he, after the Lausitzring, going, I don't even know why I bother. I feel like my championship's over. I'm not going to do this anymore. And while he has absolutely come back fighting today, it's really good to see. And he is, well, being rewarded for that faith in his ability.
Well, of course, with the last-minute balance performance change, it affected the Ferraris the most. However, we got two Ferraris. Yeah, we got two Ferraris, P1, P2 at the moment. Of course, we still have the rest of this final stint to run, and there are cars on fresher tyres, quickly catching in from behind. But it's an intriguing one, isn't it? It's maybe that there wasn't enough of a balanced performance hit for the Ferraris, who knows, at this point. But 17 minutes left to go. Still a good portion of this race yet to get completed. And, well, Fiduci's in the prime spot right now. However, do you just sort of wait and delay it if you're Fiduci right now? Do you not want to try and start the fight here, because you're risking it becoming more of an extended battle, and then all of a sudden you've got Lona from 2 seconds back catching up. He's got Pejec in tow as well, despite the old tyres on that Mercedes. Do you want to run that risk?
Wow. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword here, isn't it? He's got a lot to lose if he does make a mistake, but there's a bit of a gap to work with here. Pfeiffer right up in behind Keithy. He is bump drafting here. absolutely slam dunk bump drafting there, pushing Keith Lee away so that Hasse doesn't catch up, which is really, really clever, actually. So these two realizing that actually P5 is the highest they can maybe be looking at. And it's a case of Pfeiffer is trying to isolate Keith Lee here. So later on in this race, well, we've only got 16 minutes to go, but in the sort of last 5 minutes of this race, he's isolated enough that it could be 1v1 for that top 5 and pick up some big points.
Remember, they've got Hasse closing in from behind as well. That gap now down to 1.5 seconds between Pfeiffer and
Yeah, it's not
Hasse,
doing a lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, try as they might, it's an inventive strategy for certain. You don't see it that often in GT machines, but yeah, I think it's you know, you're sort of losing the fight still, and it's not really doing all that much. So at some point, the strategy might change for Pfeiffer. It's like, okay, maybe Keith Lee's just holding me up here. I'm just going to try and get past seriously and then try and run off before Hasse can get to me. But yeah, I mean, it's a decent attempt, I suppose. I won't hate on the attempt.
Yeah, I think Florian Hasse is going to be like taking candy from a baby, catching up to those two, I think. Remember, Hasse came in so late in the stint as well, which means he's going to have those fresher tyres. We know that AMGs really struggle on tyre wear around here specifically. So, yeah, that BMW is going to catch up, and it's going to be relatively simple. But as you can see here, they're trying their absolute best. They are working together, but look how close that BMW is catching up. And look at the speed difference in a straight line. It's scary how quick that BMW is. But again, it's here, really, where the BMW struggles. Getting that power down just seems to be a bit of a struggle. You see the BMW all over the show there. Still just up ahead here. Pajic not really able to hang with Lona by the looks of things. Lona 2.2 seconds behind Fiducci. Just isn't really catching up there. It would appear he's done the fastest lap of the race, but it's just to no avail. The front two are just, if anything, extending the lead. I don't think Lona's quite got the pace to keep up with the Ferraris. Fiducci just falling a little bit further back, albeit 0.6 of a second back from the lead. If you're Pfeiffer here, if we're talking about a P5, I think you've got to realise that Hasse is just catching up here. This bump drafting isn't necessarily working too well. It might be a case of just get out into track position and hope that Keith Lee backs him up effectively. And Keith Lee makes it very difficult for Hasse to overtake. So I think these two staying like this, they're only going to get caught, and it becomes, especially through Blanchimont down towards that bus stop chicane, that BMW, if it's anywhere near, it's going to absolutely obliterate the both of them.
Yeah, again, that's why I said maybe the strategy for Pfeiffer becomes, okay, I'm just going to put Keith Lee between me and Hasse, and hope that Hasse has big trouble trying to get past Keith Lee, and maybe I'm safe for the end of the race.
Yeah, do you know, it's fun to watch though. I remember first time I saw like GT bump drafting, if you like, was during a DTM Race From Home Challenge when the whole COVID stuff kicked off. It was Kelvin van der Linde and Sheldon van der Linde who was bump drafting each other in a race around the Nordschleife. So that was fun in 1994 DTM cars. So they were both in the Audi Quattro. So that was fun to watch. But yeah, seeing it at this level is cool. It's absolutely cool to see. It's nice to see that these drivers are trying to be innovative and try and win. They're trying to win races. They're trying to get the best performance out. They don't want to be getting to tomorrow morning thinking, oh, I just could have done so much more. You know, at least they're trying something different, something new. And you know, Keith Lee, I don't think he's going to be like overly unhappy that it's happening, but he won't be too pleased with it either, because he's the one that's mostly at risk of being spun around. But as you can see in the background, there's Hasse with 12 minutes 30 seconds to go. He is catching up, but the AMGs are doing a relatively good job. The lead though, that's where the real onions are being cut. Siggy is, well, he was pulling that gap out. Again, the timing doesn't seem like it's working overly too well on the top left of your screen there, because it was it seemed a lot closer there than 0.8 of a second, which it was at one stage. Lona not closing up here at all. Pajic, P4, Keith Lee, they're not going to be caught the front four here, but Pajic, his gamble of trying to let Lerner go and sort of be dragged along has not really worked here overall. I think Siggy is going to be very difficult to beat here. I don't think Fiduci's quite got the car underneath him.
Yeah, and you know, it's quite a stark contrast, because you know, we were talking, you know, just what 10-15 minutes ago that Lona was one of the faster cars out there, and now it seems like he's just dropped off the pace somewhat, and is not able to continue to push on and have that same performance as he previously had. Maybe he took a bit too much out of the tires, overheated them somewhat, and had the performance drop off a cliff, which is so easy to do.
Saw that from Fernando Alonso in Formula 1 this morning, didn't we? Where he had like new tyres, and after 5 laps he grained the front left, and that was it. It's game over. Or front right, wasn't it? Front left, yeah. He grained the front left. They were only 5 laps old, but he just dropped like a stone. So yeah, you gotta be perfect at this level, especially in sim racing. You can't go out there and overheat them and scrub them. You're in trouble. Keithley, look at that smile on his face. See, whenever I see Keithley's picture, I imagine that's exactly how his face is when he races all the time. Just got a smile on his grid like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a smile like that, that's the smile of a man that can do great things, right? It's you can't knock him down whatsoever.
And he's got his arms folded.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it upside down, I guess it's a frown, but whatever. It's fine. And well, he has a right to be happy about the way the performance has been so far. I mean, he got himself pole position for race number 1. It's not too bad. The race results are a little bit worse, but therefore, that's with the fact that with the Mercedes, we didn't expect it to really have absolutely fantastic race pace, considering its tyre performance and its tyre wear. But we've got a Mercedes P456, so again, yeah. It's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go as far to say I think the BMWs, if you don't treat the tyres perfectly and you really overdrive the car, you hurt yourself big time. Because Hasse kind of been halted in his progress here, although there's a mistake, and now Hasse's going to close up to these two. It's going to make me sound really stupid, but yeah, Hasse and indeed Lerner, they've kind of it's almost like hitting a brick wall at this stage, and it's not working out well for them at all. Fiduci's dropped right off of Siggy as well. Siggy is absolutely going to be in a prime position to pick up another championship here after this result today. But yeah, talking about Keithley, it's not just today, is it? It's the last sort of 4 races he's really announced himself here, and he will feel like he's got a genuine opportunity of making it towards that top 5 in this championship. I'm really interested to see what difference it's made. So as it stands right now, I don't know if you want to pull up the championship here. I know they're pretty close, but we know we're not going to see a move until right in the dying embers of this race. But Kevin Siggy leads the way, 220 points. He's 45 points clear of Moritz Lohner. Remember, this does not include race 1 or race 2. We will have the official standings at the end of the stream. Moritz Lohner, he's going to be pretty comfortable in P2 in the championship. We know that. Florian Hasse, P3, he might be under a little bit of pressure here from Fiduci. Ottaviani's going to be a one that drops out here, I think, as well. So Ottaviani's going to be out. And this opens the door to someone like Jack Keithley. So I think Jack Keithley, he won't quite be in that top 5, but he will be, I think Ottaviani is going to be in P5, and Jack Keithley is going to be right on his coattails. So very close for that top 5.
I will trust in your mental maths. Your mental maths is probably better than mine in this one. I prefer to wait and get ourselves confirmation of the points from race control.
I'm just trying to paint a picture here.
I know, yeah. I mean, we can conjecture a little bit. I mean, if at least for the last couple of rounds, I'll be setting up my spreadsheet and trying to attempt to do like a live call out of the points to see what the actual championship picture looks like. But we don't have that right now. What we do have is still Keithley and Pfeiffer close for P5, but they don't seem to be they don't have the appetite to fight. And I kind of think that maybe Florian Hasse, he's kind of stalled out in his run somewhat. However, once Keithley and Pfeiffer decide that they want to have a little bit of a battle, all of a sudden that BMW is back into play from the Esports. So, yeah, the hand has kind of been forced at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's no choice here. I think that BMW, if it gets a decent exit over Radion, it's 100% going to be an easy close up down towards Lasercom, and it's just going to be a matter of time, really. So Keithley and Pfeiffer, it's a decision right now. If you're Pfeiffer, it's do I fight this and then it makes it a 3-way battle, or do I just try and guarantee myself a P6? As they go along the Kemmel Straight, it's still a bit more bump drafting again. This has been helping them, that's for sure, 100% been helping them. Hasse, I think, might have burnt the tyres out as well, so that's going to help these two as well. Again, Siggy looking great, Fiduci looking phenomenal, Lohner, again, he's here for one reason only. He wants to win the championship. Remember, he is already a DTM trophy driver, as Moritz Lohner. So again, if you go out and win this championship or this competition, and you win yourself a guaranteed season next season, he hasn't got to worry about the sponsors and all that stuff. With motorsport, it's very difficult. It's not just as cut and dry as just being really quick and you get a drive. Unfortunately, it's just not how it works in 2022. So yeah, again, that'd be a great prize for him, but he just wants to win this championship. He wants to become a 2-time DTM championship. If you do not follow Moritz Lerner on social media, this is all he's been talking about over the last couple of months, is that he's got the #1 in the car. He wants to go out there and win the championship. He wants to become a 2-time DTM Esports champion, but it's just slipping away as it stands, because, and it's not because really of his own fault here, he's driven superbly well this season. And I know we've still got 4 races to go, but that is just how good Kevin Siggy has been.
Yeah, Siggy has been an example of consistency. I mean, the only real mistake that he made was that at Norris Ring, you know, at the end of the event there, where he made an error, and that allowed Högfeldt to get his one and only win in this series so far. Apart from that, Siggy has pretty much been pitch perfect. Of course, you know, he had been dealt a bad hand through the first round of the season due to the BMWs just being miles away, you know, miles faster than the Ferraris with regards to the
Still won, didn't he?
Yeah.
Still managed to get a race win.
To be fair, he did win, and you know that's part of, you know, reason why he's so far ahead in the championship. Yeah, just a Siggy bop. That's going to be the situation.
Like he has to wear a stiletto high heel on 1 foot or something.
Yeah.
Like that's you know, and like he's only allowed to wear 1 glove or something.
I mean, you got to do anything at this point. I think if you're race control, but there we go.
Make him wear a pirate's eye patch. I'm just thinking of things of balance. I'm still on balance performance of Kevin Siggy right now. How else could we penalise him? I don't know. How else could we penalise him right now? Like he has to wear a pair of trousers that are 1 size too small.
Ooh.
Just restrict his leg movement. You know, like there's things out there that we can just bop him, because he has been that good. We need to put a balance of performance on him as a driver. Again, I don't think the BMWs were like crazy faster at Imola, if I'm honest. I feel like that both cars had like if Siggy was well, Julian Fox, that's one way of getting yourself on camera as we face the wrong way. But yeah, I don't think it was like an extreme balance of performance in terms of the Ferrari, the BMW being that quicker. I think regardless of what car Siggy was driving, he would have won in any car. He was just that good, and Lerner was also that good. They both come out the traps absolutely flying. What's hurt Moritz is Norris Ring.
Yeah.
He was nowhere near the pace, and it was nothing really to do with the pace of the car, because we saw BMWs up there fighting for race victory. So again, I would say the Ferrari was probably the overall better car there, but again, I don't think it was by a massive stretch once again. So Kevin Siggy's just been that good.
He has been, and now he's put himself in the situation where it's basically, unless it's a catastrophic final 2 events for Siggy, that it's now kind of mathematically, maybe not impossible, but very improbable for anyone to do anything about challenging the championship leader heading into those final 2 events. So you know, that's the best place to be, I suppose, coming into the final races. The pressure's off as well in that sense as well. So you can just, you know, finish P5 in all the remaining races, and he's probably still clear as regards to the championship is concerned. So it's a big luxury to be able to have that much of a buffer in the points order, so that you can make maybe a mistake here and there and still be relatively okay. We've got about coming up to 2.5 minutes to go, more like 3 minutes if we're running it up correctly. But Pfeiffer, he's still, I mean,
it's working.
It's working.
It's gonna work.
It's kind of working. I mean, I think, because there was a conjecture by Bonky in the chat that said that potentially Lona went a little bit more aggressive on the setup, which is why he had his tyres up early on to the stint. Maybe Haas is running the same setup, and he burned his tyres out early into the stint as well, which is why he's not gaining as much as he was previously.
Yeah, maybe. Say that's a maybe for me. Who knows? I just think Pfeiffer's kind of given up his position. He's just like, you know what? I'm going to take P6. I'll happily take P6, and maybe I'll have a run down and towards that bus stop chicane and potentially at P5. But right now, if I fight Keithley too hard, my highest position I can guarantee is, or the highest position I can get is 6th. So right now he could get a potential P5, although Hasser on this final couple of laps seems like he is going to be right behind him, isn't he? So yeah, he's like the shark. So anyone else got any ideas how we could potentially balance of performance quick drivers. We've got, who we got here? Baba, he says wet socks. Drive with a scuba diving fin, says Masfa. So if you guys have got any ideas of how we could handicap the quick driver being Siggy, let me know in the chat. I don't know, maybe he has to have lip gloss on his hands. I don't know. I just figure of weird ideas here. Anyway, we've got 1 lap to go of today's broadcast. And can these two AMGs work together and keep that BMW in behind? I'm not sure it's possible. I think Haas is now close enough. And actually, this is where he's going to struggle, is the corner exit, but he's absolutely nailed it this time round. It might be worth having a little onboard here of Florian Haas, as there's a battle in behind here as well, isn't there? Who is that in behind? That is Dorniden and Hugveld. So Dorniden coming back up here. Hugveld was trying to make a move. Again, he is a race winner from the DTM Esports 2022. And in behind them, they've got Peter Pliska as well. See, Hugveld then's going to have to go all the way around the outside. Ferrari struggling for traction on the exit here as well. And these three are going to be, well, almost touching each other as they come up ready on the rouge. Final lap we come. What about the battle in front here? Does Hasse get a chance? We'll be able to see both of them, I reckon. Well, here we go. Hasse's not close enough here at all. And Pfeiffer has decided, you know what? I am absolutely going to wait until the end here. Who's Hugveld? Hugveld is being involved there. They're all too close. I tell you what, though, Pajic is dropping right back here. There's a battle for a P4. Pajic, I think he's underfueled. I think he's underfueled here. He's either made a mistake or he's underfueled, because they were miles ahead. The top 4 were miles ahead. And we will see. If Keithley closes up to the back of Pajic here relatively quickly, we know that Pajic is fuel saving. He is in trouble.
Yeah, so there's Kevin Siggy. So he's taking his way through Pouan for the final time. Time has now expired. So that's the confirmation of the final lap. And, well, Pajic, it's either that or he's just fallen off a complete cliff with regards to
He came in the earliest, remember? First one to pit. So the tyres are going to be absolutely dead right now. It is a case of just make sure you get to the end in P4. So this is the battle then for 4th position. Siggy's going to win this race. Fiducci is going to finish in 2nd by the looks of things, and Lona is going to take P3. We're coming down towards Blanchimont then for the very final time. Kevin Siggy, Team Redline. It's been a phenomenal day for him today. He absolutely wrote the wrongs, or rewritten the wrongs from what happened at Lausitz Ring, where he just wasn't really on the pace. I say that, he got 2 podiums, so I don't know what the hell I'm too worried about there. He's still extended his championship lead up towards that bus stop chicane. Going to be 2 wins from 2 here at Spa. It is almost one hand on the trophy. DTM Esports 2022 round 8 is going to go the way of Kevin Siggy. Absolutely deserves it there. Fiducci, and not a good race number 1. He's going to finish in 2nd. Alona is going to finish in P3. And Pajic then is going to survive. Keithley is going to hold on to P5. And Pfeiffer nearly lost out there to Florian Hasse. Hasse was chasing them down for what was about 40 minutes in the end on the 2nd stint. We then got Markovic here, who's going to come across the line in 14th. Nagy, Vermeulen are in 13th and 12th position. Ottaviani, Krippner in 11th and 10th. Pliska finishes in 9th. Dorniden in a P8 there as well. Incredible stuff here. Siggy takes another win here, Connery. Absolutely well deserved. It looked like Fiducci might be able to spoil the party today. For about 15 minutes, it looked like he might be trying to say something towards the end and really attack. In the end, though, Kevin Siggy absolutely showed why he's the leader of our championship.
Yeah, and, well, what a comfortable performance for Siggy. That was schooling everyone for all intents and purposes. There's the confirmation of the race results, of course, pending steerage review. They might look at a few things over the course of both the races here today. But Kevin Siggy takes the race win from Fiducci from Lona. So that is basically one hand on the championship trophy, you would argue, for Kevin Siggy with a performance like that. Then we've got Pajic and Keithley down to P5. So yeah, I mean, that kind of fizzled out a little bit, so I was kind of a little bit disappointed there towards the end that we didn't get ourselves like any huge grandstand finish or anything like that. But I think all the positions were kind of decided through the strategy and after the first 10 minutes of the 2nd stint.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting, because coming into today, it was Kevin Siggy that led out. Lona was in 2nd. Hasse was in P3. Ottaviani was in P4. Fiducci was in P5. I think Fiducci is now P3 in this championship. I think Florian Hasse is P4. I think Ottaviani is just about hanging on to P5. I think Keithley is really close in P6 now. We will find that out. What an incredible set of races we have had. We are just going to go to a very, very short commercial break while we indeed do get our graphic for the championship standings. I'm excited to see who's in that top 5. Remember, top 5 in this championship, they will go to a DTM sighting event during the season, the real life racing, and they will be having challenges and they'll be judged as to who is the best candidate and will be chosen as the prize winner. So there'll be a DTM Esports 2022 champion, whoever wins this championship, but then the top 5 will all go to this sighting event, and then the best candidate will be chosen, and they will get a full season paid for in the DTM Trophy 2023. So we're going to go to a very quick commercial break. Please stick around, and let's find out who indeed are in that top 5 going into our final 4 races.
Auto Hero ist dein Online-Shop für Gebrauchtwagen. Wir verkaufen nur Autos aus unserem eigenen Bestand. Jedes ist von unseren Kfz-Experten general überholt und rundum aufbereitet. Und du erhältst 1 Jahr Garantie. So unbeschwert kann Autokauf sein. Finde jetzt dein Auto bei Auto Hero.
Well, I would love to do loads of analysis and stuff, but you do not want to hear me talking. You might want to hear Connery. He's got a beautiful voice, but not me specifically. So let's just look at the championship standings then after today's 2 races. Remember, we have 4 races still to go. And it's all about being in that top 5 at the end of this championship. Siggy, of course, is up there in P1. 302 points now for Team Redline. Moritz Lerner will be very happy that he's pretty much guaranteed to be in that top 5 if he continues to perform like he's performing, but he wants to win the championship. He is in the Esports team. He is on 244. Florian Hasser holds on to P3 with 182 points. Alessandro Ottaviani is on 171 points. Fiducci then on 170, only 1 point further back, but the big factor here is there's a 20-point gap then between Fiducci and Leonard Krippner. Forgot about him. He's on 150 points then for Der Esports as well. And then Jack Keithley has put himself in and amongst it. Look, he's got an 11-point gap then to P8 of Christopher Hugveld, but he's only 8 points back from 6th. He's only 18 points, or should I say 28 points back from Fiducci. So Jack Keithley is starting to find a bit of form, and him and Fiducci are really the Form 2 drivers outside of Lerner and Siggy. So Ottaviani, he's the one who really needs to be on his guard, the same as Leonard Krippner. Connery, sum it up. Siggy show, of course, today. Incredible from him. But the rest of the field, Jack Keithley starting to find that vice champion form that he had 18 months ago.
We'll see. Have to see if that's a trend that continues. Obviously, we're not entirely sure right now whether it just so happens to be a track where the difference between the BMWs, the Ferraris, and then the Mercedes was a little bit more narrow than at most of the other circuits we've been to so far this season. However, we've got what tracks have we got coming up? We've got the Red Bull Ring coming up, which is always a whole bunch of fun. Again, it's another kind of slipstreamy base track as well, so it'll keep everyone together. And then we've got the wild card of sort of Portimao at the very end of the season, which is going to be a little bit of a different style of racing again then as well. Of course, we do have to factor in whatever the admins decide, whatever the balance of performance happens to be for any given weekend. But for Keithley, at least, it's a good one on the board, that's for certain. And I think he can take a lot of confidence out of this, because he got himself the fastest lap time in Q1. He got himself pole position for that sprint race. There is some pace in that Mercedes. It just needs to be unlocked, and it needs the balance of performance to go his way. So yeah, for Keithley, it's not impossible for him to get himself inside the top 5 at the end of this. Another 2 good results in the next 2 rounds, then we can maybe start talking about it. But nothing's ever a guarantee in motorsports, apart from maybe Siggy winning the championship at this point.
100%. Could not agree with you more. We'll be back for the Red Bull Ring on the 21st of April, and then on the 28th of April we head to Portimao. So it's going to be like a double header 2 weeks in a row. We're not back for 11 days, so they get a bit of a break now after this frantic, crazy double header this week. And well, Connery, I've had it's been a ball working with you today for this Sunday. It's now time for us to go and have a beer and relax. But to all of you watching at home, hopefully you've enjoyed this as well. Hopefully you join us for the rest of the championship season. Kevin Siggy leads the championship heading into the final 4 races. We have indeed got ourselves Moritz Lohner in second spot, struggling to keep up with the pace of Siggy. Jack Keithley is on the charge for that top 5 and getting towards the prize for the DTM Esports 2022. We'll see you in 11 days' time for rounds 9 and 10.